Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome to a new video. Before we begin today's chapter, I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, it would help me a lot if you left a comment with your opinion, as that motivates me to keep bringing you more stories. Now then, get comfortable and I'll leave you with the fanfic. Chapter 1. No matter how much time passes, Deku still somehow manages to piss him the fuck off. His stomach gurgles in response to his thoughts. Bakugu rolls to the side of his bed, the waves of nausea unrelenting. Guilt curdles in his gut, intestines twisting and turning as he recalls what he said earlier today. We have to tell your mom. She's been so broken without you. Izuku, about what happened before. I can't, how do I put this into words? I'm sorry. I fucked up. The sentences taste like ashes against his lips now. Despite everything, the boy left with the warp bastard, his last words ringing in Bakugu's ears like a stupid-ass pop song. Never-ending, repetitive, only reminding him of his failures. Kakin, the nickname he long thought dead and buried, has been resurrected. He isn't sure how to feel about that, about any of this really. He grits his teeth until he could no longer restrain himself. A loud bang resonates as his fist smashes into the wall. Anger, sadness, and other feelings he can't quite explain filter through. The nitroglycerin sparks and smokes in his hand, fizzling out seconds later. The charred, cracked imprint of his anger matches the others along his bedside wall. It is, as his dumbass middle school art teacher would say, a collage to his emotional state. His shoulders slump forward. He hates it. Hates how weak he is that he couldn't save the pathetic idiot from sacrificing himself not once, but twice. Hates how the shame of his actions over the past few years cling to his self-esteem, that no matter how many successes he has, getting into UA, getting to the highest score in his class, they pale in comparison to the shitty things he's done to Deku. Hates how despite apologizing, he doesn't feel any different. If anything, he's worse, because now that fucking dipshit was alive, and how is he going to explain this to anyone? He's the only one who heard the fool speak. Just his luck. He releases a long sigh. The whispers of his former middle school classmates echo through his mind. He presses both palms to his ears, trying to will the bullshit away. It doesn't work. It never does. He can still hear their judgment, still feel their pity after his extended break from classes after Deku's. He shakes his head, banishing the memories into the furthest corners of his mind. Tired fingers rub at the dark circles underneath his eyes. He can't sleep. Not after today. The villain's attack was just a fucking diversion to get to All Might. Damn it. So fucking obvious too. He should have seen it coming from a mile away. Familiar stomping breaks him from his thoughts. Well, fuck. Maybe he should have been more discreet about punching the wall again. He doesn't even turn toward the door when the old hag breaks it open with her foot. Her voice breaks the silence. What the hell is wrong with you, brat? Fuck off, old hag. He grumbles, waving his hand at her to leave him to his thoughts. Except she didn't. Instead, she leans over his bed, putting herself in his personal space, just like she always does. Seriously, is everything okay up here? Her lips pull back into a disapproving frown. Do I need to call in another therapist? He flinches at the mention of the T word, but hides it with a dark scowl. Not unless you want it ending like all the other ones. Get out of my room. Something softens in her gaze. She places a hand on his shoulder. Do you want to talk about today? Your father and I were really worried about you. Talk about it. Talk about he had to fight off a bunch of weak-ass villains only to be confronted with his dead childhood friend? Yeah, Katsuki Bakugu didn't do talks. He'd thought she'd know by now, considering how many therapists he's gone through because of her. Talk is cheap. Talking doesn't do anything but bring up the worst of his feelings. He's already swimming in his damn guilt. He doesn't need to drown in it too. Out. He grounds out through clenched teeth. Kid. He's more forceful this time, pushing her back as he screams in her face. Out. He hates how he hears her shuffle away, back downstairs to share in whispery gossip with his old man. It's the same old song and dance since he holed himself up in his room last spring for a month, and he's sick of it. She couldn't understand. No, wouldn't be able to understand what he went through today. Izuku is alive. He was a hell of a lot different. The fuck was with that fancy-ass getup and wispy fog shit. But he's there. He's alive. And he apparently had a quirk. The same as the warp bastards too. Which didn't make any sense. Izuku is quirkless. And even if he did have one, it would have been his mom's weak telekinesis or his dad's fire breathing. But Kugu sure as hell knew that Auntie Inko would have never cheated and made anyone question Izuku's paternity. Not that it really matters in the end. His father was a failure of a salaryman who didn't even come to Izuku's motherfucking funeral. Fuck. But Kuga groans as he sits back up. His muscles groan from today's overuse. He ignores the feeling. There's no getting around this. He isn't going to be able to sleep tonight if he doesn't do something. His palms crackle and pop, eyes slowly traveling the room to the bottom drawer of his desk. His body starts to shake as his nerves rise. Slowly, he reaches out. He hasn't touched it since that fateful day. His fingers pause centimeters away. A rush of annoyance fills him. What is he, some sort of pussy-ass bitch? Hell no. He finally grabs the drawer handle and opens it in the same motion, pulling out the object and slamming it on the surface of his desk. The journal glares up at him, as if daring him to try destroying it again. He snorts. His sleep deprivation is worse than normal. It seems if he's giving inanimate objects personalities. The Campos notebook isn't in the best shape. The sides are burned some, and he's pretty sure most of the writing is water-smudged to hell and back. He thumbs through the first few pages, eyes half-lidded as he recognizes the heroes inside. He shoves the stab of shame away, replacing it with a resolved determination. Somehow, he needs to figure this shit out, whatever this shit is. He needs to make a plan of action, starting with getting the one hero who might believe him. His jaw tightens. Cornering him would be easy, but convincing him would be difficult. After all, he was there with Bakugu when it happened. His eyes sharpen as his thumb brushes the cover's lettering, tracing the number 13. He flips to the first empty page he finds, one hand fishing for a pen before he gets to work, detailing what he remembers from earlier. It's messy and he screws up and has to go back and scratch out the parts he fucks up, but it's something. He has a goal now. And there's no way he's going to fuck this up a second time. It is inevitable when he returns. Izuku doesn't run when Kurogiri brings him back to the doctor. He doesn't try to escape when he's placed back in the room, back in the place that destroyed and rebuilt him molecule by molecule. What was once a blank canvas was now dyed with color, layers, and depths of remembrance. He's not just Kuro. He's more. Or he was. There was now a duality between the person he used to be and the person he is now. Confusion doesn't even begin to cover his mental state. He suspects. No, he knows meeting Kaken again did something to his mind, but he cannot dwell on it for long. He shivers when they strap him back to the bed once more. He faintly remembers the first time he awoke as the doctor hooks him up to a bag of dark fluid. The agony and revulsion that filled him as he raised his arm, intending to scratch his itchy face when instead the limb's flesh fell in clumps on his lap, revealing the black beneath. He recalls the screams now, much more than he ever did before. The early memories of his rebirth are returning, just as his previous ones are. He gasps as familiar, unwanted hands run over his face. He begins to struggle beneath his bonds. The doctor whispers little sounds as to calm him, running a hand through his wisp-like hair. Izuku wants to slap the hand away. His touch makes the teen want to vomit, intruding and uninvited in its sick display of affection. He knows now what the man truly is. The liquid they put into him is different than before. Izuku blinks, mind sluggish as his thoughts slow, heartbeat following suit. It burns, the intensity flooding his body. He releases a small whine, the doctor shushing him as he is wheeled off to a new place. He's scared. His best friend's name leaves his lips again, less of a call for the other boy and more of an effort to stay awake. He doesn't want to go to sleep again. The doctor places something over the bottom half of his face. He tries to fight the encroaching blackness by moving around. It doesn't work. He drifts off. The sleep is restless and violent. He feels exhausted throughout, as though he were fighting a never-ending battle. Maybe he is. The taste of copper and antiseptic invade his senses, ever present in the flashes of memories he experiences throughout the ordeal. He isn't sure when he wakes, sometime between the door opening and the wheels of his bed squeaking against linoleum floors. They're taking him somewhere. Back to the room. His entire body tingles with a strange sensation he cannot describe. The boy tries to turn his head, but the motion sends a jolt of pain down his spine. He releases a groan. Wakey wakey, Kuro-chan. Someone flicks his nose. You've been a very naughty Noma, haven't you? He blinks. Should he answer? He tries to, but all that escapes his mouth is dry air. He tries again. Fear filters through the sluggish thoughts. He can't speak anymore. The doctor doesn't seem to care, talking over him as he checks over his vitals. I suspected we would get a little rebelliousness out of you at some point. Making high-ends like yourself always come with drawbacks. Little things like personalities and memories can be quite a hindrance, he says cheerfully, taking out the 4 in his arm. Not that you're the first. Kurogiri did once too, you see. But we fixed him up, just as we fixed you. Soon you'll be back on your feet and serving sensei again. Aren't you glad? What an honor, he thinks dryly. Izuku wonders if death would have been more preferable then. No. He imagines his hands balling into fists. So long as he was alive, he could do something. Even if he can't be a hero, he can at least do something. What that something was, however, Izuku wasn't so certain. The memories should be buried now. Not that you would remember, would you? He laughs at his own joke. It would be funny if it were true. Except, the boy struggles to keep a blank face. He does remember. He remembers the fight at USJ. He remembers Kakin. He remembers his old desires, his ambitions, He can never reveal this, Izuku realizes. Not unless he wants to lose what little he has of himself left. Thinking quickly, he pretends to cock his head sideways in a display of confusion for the other man, slumping over as he did so. His neck and shoulders throb. The doctor snorts, readjusting him back. Just in time, too. A familiar face appears at the door. His teacher seems relatively put together considering how he was at the USJ, unless... Izuku's eyes narrow. How much time has passed since he was brought here? He isn't sure. He has no frame of reference. A hand rests upon his shoulder. He relaxes when he sees the owner. You called for me, Kurogiri states, eyes never straying from the teen's form. I take it the procedure is finished? The doctor's brows lift, lips pressing together like a satisfied cat's. Yes, he should be ready to go now. His pin bounces against his leg before he gestures it at Izuku's form. Word of the wise. He can't walk yet, so you'll need someone to carry him back. I could have Johnny do it if you would prefer. Izuku tries not to shudder. The short Nomu perks up at his mention, peering from behind the doctor's chair. The deformed creature is a reminder of a worse fate than his own. That won't be necessary, Kurogiri remarks to the boy's relief. Where is the brace? One moment. The doctor wheels around until he's on the other side of Izuku. His hands fiddle with something below Izuku's head. Stained white gauze unravels before his eyes. He feels the doctor's cold hands encircle the area where his neck and shoulders meet. We've made improvements to the technology. Izuku winces at the metallic sound of the doctor's tapping. It's more like a collar now. Fitting, don't you think? That explains the pain. He tries to reach, to feel the foreign object around his neck, but his hands do little more than twitch at his sides, utterly useless. Your work is as excellent as always, Doctor, Kurogiri commends. The doctor seems chuffed at the warper's words, smile stretching further. Oh, you flatter me, Kurogiri. He leans over Izuku's body, gazing at Izuku's mentor with a mysterious glint in his eye. You're free to take him and go, unless you both want to spend the night. Thank you for the offer, but I'm afraid I will have to decline, he answers politely, if a bit clipped. Izuku's body relaxes. Oh, thank goodness. A short whistle escapes the doctor's mouth. His lips pull down into a mockery of sadness. Such a pity. I was hoping to run a few more tests. Next time then. One arm comes behind his back, while the other travels behind his legs. Kurogiri lifts him effortlessly from the small bed as a warp gate forms behind him. Have a good night, Doctor, is all he says before they disappear into the portal. The air inside the bar is still when they return. Wooden planks creak beneath their combined weight. Izuku shifts his neck to look at the clock. Bad idea. He groans, spikes of agony shooting through him. Suddenly, his body is shifted, face soon buried into the smell of smoke and whiskey. Shush, it's all right. We're back now, his mentor says in a hushed tone. Ride out the pain. Izuku closes his eyes, head resting against the other's chest. The rising and falling of the man's chest soothes him. He focuses on the rhythm over the pain, matching his own harsh breathing. Minutes go by before the pain lessens into a more manageable ache. He startles when he's gently deposited on the bed, causing another round of painful jolts. A large, cool hand rubs circles into his back. Izuku leans into it. The face of his mentor stares down at him. He isn't sure what to think of Kurogiri after all this. The man is mysterious, warm one moment and cold the next. It's no lie that he's relied on the Warper more than once in this place. He was everything Kuro strived to be, the only caring member in the league that he could come to with his problems. Now, Izuku saw the man in a new light. Another dog in the small kennel the league handcrafted. How long has he been here? Longer than Izuku has at the very least. Considering Shigaraki's age and their close relationship, Izuku thinks it could be around a decade, perhaps more. Izuku is lucky, he thinks. He can remember some of who he was before. Not much just yet, but enough to form a basis. He wants to ask his mentor the same, but common sense holds him back. Even if Kurogiri cares for him, he would never be on Izuku's side. Though they are allies in circumstance, they were not so in goals. It is a bitter pill to swallow, especially with how the man is looking at him right now, as if Izuku's well-being matters to him. There is a familial fondness there, more than Izuku ever received from his own father. It is no wonder his amnesia self was so drawn to the older Warper. It is no wonder he feels the same way now. Izuku swallows as the rhythmic circles stop. Gently, the man sits across from him on the only seat Izuku had, a small stool he's procured from the bar. It had once been one of the taller ones at the bar, but Shigaraki broke one of its legs in half, and, well, it fit in the boys' room well enough now that he chiseled down the other legs. The older Warper crosses his legs, posture tall and imposing, but still emitting concern in its slight lean towards him. A soft, defeated sigh leaves his lips as he remarks, "I expected this to happen at some point." Izuku slowly blinks. He wishes he could speak again. Or write. His limbs aren't as immobile anymore, though. His hands inch upwards, trying to lock onto the new object around his neck. Kurogiri is faster. The man captures the teen's wayward hands, pressing them back to his sides. "Enough. Don't scratch at it," he gently scolds. "You'll get used to it. Think of it as an extra pair of clothing." He lets out a weak huff at the comment, not believing it for a moment. "You need to let it heal." His eyes narrow. "But you're not going to do that if I leave, are you?" Izuku tries his best to look innocent. The man is difficult to fool sadly. He pulls his chair closer, leaning forward as he rests his elbows on his knees. Izuku calms as familiar fingers stroke his hair. In the calmness, he begins to think. About Kurogiri, about himself, about his future. It's not much, but it's a start. His eyes travel down to his own dark hands, bits of green and black wisp rising from them. Izuku Midoriya didn't have hands like that, he thinks despondently. Sadness grows in his chest. He can't go back home. He doesn't even look like himself anymore. So what's next? Kurogiri stops, stroking his hair, fingers forming a triangle before interlocking each other. Only his molten gaze remains. "How about I tell you another story, little shadow? Would you like that?" He wishes he could answer for real. Instead, he settles for a slight grunt. There's nothing else he can do right now. Thinking about the future could wait. His eyes begin to close as the older Warper begins. He's thankful when Kurogiri's low voice lulls him into a better slumber than his last. His memory of the past could not be revealed so long as he lived here. His mouth draws into a thin line as he inwardly forms a new resolve. It's not much, not yet, but it's enough for now. Even if Izuku is technically dead, Kuro lives on. Kuro can do something. And that would have to be enough for now. Chapter 2. It isn't every day Izuku receives a mission. He's never been given one specifically for him before, that is, one that didn't involve tagging along with someone. In the past, he's transported materials, disposed of suspicious bags, and helped restock the bar, but errands didn't really count in his mind. During the battle at USJ, he was brought along out of possible usefulness. Sadly, that hadn't panned out all too well. The sensation of cold metal against his collarbone every morning reminds him of that fact. His stomach churns. "I trust you understand the importance of your assignment today." His mentor remarks in a professional manner, contrasting his words by fiddling with the boy's disguise like a concerned mom before her baby's first day of school. The clothes hang loosely off the boy, hand-me-downs from Shigaraki he suspects. The older warper tugs Izuku's baseball cap downwards. Keep out of sight of the pros and take note of any quirks that stand out. Sensei wants a better idea of what powers All Might students possess. He nods, hoodie moving with the motion. His sunglasses and face mask obscure whatever discernible features he has left. The long sleeves, gloves, and pants are plain and unassuming. With the fake UA backpack, he could easily fit in with the crowds of people for the event. He looks like a stalker, Shigaraki states flatly, eyeing the teen from behind his portable game. Though his posture is relaxed, there is a stiffness in his shoulders, body still wounded from their last outing. Better a stalker than a homeless bum, the younger boy types. The phone's robotic voice that carries the sentence almost as hilarious as Shigaraki's resulting glare. He's glad the other cannot get up fast enough to dust him, even though he knows the other will not forget this slight. Shigaraki never does. Play nice, children, Kurogiri chides. Don't know why you're sending him out when we can watch the tournament from here, Shigaraki grumbles. Izuku keeps his eyes facing forward. Shigaraki might not know what this was about, but Izuku certainly does. Kurogiri is testing him. In order to regain the league trust, he needed to complete this mission. The warper tilts his head toward the other boy with a look Izuku could only describe as pure exasperation. I trust Sensei's decisions on this matter. As should you. A moment of silence passes between them. Izuku swallows, throat dry as Kurogiri stares at the television on the counter. The noise of sports festivals crowds overwhelm anything the announcer is saying, which is surprising given which hero it is. People must be really excited this year. Suddenly, streams of light from the older warper's eyes lengthen and brighten as his focus returns to Izuku's form. Remember my words, Kuro. Sensei must always be obeyed. Stick to your mission. Observe and analyze their weak points. Report back once you've finished. Understood. The teen's eyes narrow at the message. Something stirs inside his chest. He feels off somehow, though he couldn't fathom why. The sensation increases. His fingers twitch nervously. The collar around his neck starts to tingle. What's happening? Why is? Familiar coldness crawls out of the dark corners of his mind. Izuku's breathing picks up as they spill across his senses. He blinks, body shuddering as something foreign takes hold. It circles around his neck, forcing his focus to the command. Sensei must always be obeyed. His breathing slows. He's not sure why. Something is wrong, but he cannot place it. Not that it matters. Kuro supposes his mission comes first. He almost reaches for his neck, but holds back. His head throbs, a warning. He's not allowed to touch that. Instead, Kuro decides to sling the backpack over his shoulder. His fingers dig into the material, trying to stem the floaty feeling within him, as if his mind were about to fly off if he lets go, like a kite on a windy day. Kurogiri's directions echo in his subconscious. His mentor passes him the coordinates. Once he has mentally mapped out the area, he lifts his right hand. The warp's pull begins at his core, tightening as the air in front of him distorts. He yanks the portal open. Best of luck, Kurogiri waves, returning to his position behind the bar. Break a leg, Shigaraki adds dryly, raising his drink with a sinister grin. Kuro shakes his head obediently as he steps through the portal. It isn't until after it closes that he realizes what just happened. The stadium restrooms of UA's sports festival are much nicer than the league's, he notes as he sits atop one of the toilets, trying not to freak out. He struggles to keep his fingers solid, the digits disappearing and reappearing to the rhythm of his frantic heartbeat. He's not sure he'll ever get used to the weird things his body does. Fortunately, the tournament portion that he's here to observe doesn't start for another few minutes. Unfortunately, unless he can reform himself, he's not going to be of much use. The moment he arrived in the stadium, he noticed that something strange had just happened to his mind, making it almost impossible to do anything but listen. Kurogiri's words. Was it some sort of mind control? Focus, he urges himself, foot tapping against the ground as he tries to return to his center. It isn't easy. The fact that he can be so easily controlled is unsettling to say the least. He always followed it blindly before because he didn't know any better, but now. The urge is different, stronger. The collar must be connected somehow. A mind control device, perhaps? The doctor did say something about it fixing him. He shudders. His thoughts wander to the one on his mentor's neck. Is that how they control him? He digs his hands into the collar to no avail. It won't come off. Despair slithers through his veins. Whatever happened back there sent him back to being Kuro again. Nausea rolls around in his stomach as he connects the dots. His fingers find no give underneath the metal plates. It's as if the material is glued to his flesh. He sighs. Great. Another thing he needs to worry about. He can't go to the heroes like this. So long as he was under the League of Villains' control, he was dangerous. A shiver runs down his spine. What if they forced him to hurt someone? It's only a matter of time, he realizes, before he would have to do even worse. Izuku slumps forward with a deep sigh. So what does he do then? The young warper ducks his head, feeling powerless to the challenge ahead of him. All his life he's been quirkless, useless. He grabs his hair. The soft wisps float against his ever-changing hands, reminding him of how different he is now. Wait. His eyes widen. True, he had been quirkless, but not anymore. Whatever the doctor did to his body gave him a similar body and appearance to his mentor. His old features were gone. Other than his voice, he didn't look much like his old self at all. The Izuku that previously existed was gone. He died trying to save Kaken. His eyes thin into slits as the wheels began to turn in his head. The small resolution he made after his reawakening flashes through his mind. So long as he kept the charade up of being the amnesiac Kuro, then he could continue to keep watch over the League, at least until. His brows cross. Until what? He's saved? He doesn't know why he's doing this. Is it for Kaken? His nose scrunches up at the thought. He's not sure what to think of his old childhood friend turned bully turned potential ally? Or something. He appears to have changed, given how he acted towards him when he discovered his identity. He's also the only person the young warper can currently remember outside of the snippets of memories surrounding his own identity. He releases a deep sigh, head tilting backward. If only he could get in contact with the boy. The image of Sensei sparks in his mind. His blood runs cold in remembrance. He shakes his head. No, it's too dangerous. Kaken would most definitely be killed if he talked to him now. Izuku's already in hot water as it is. One false step, and he could get them both killed. Slowly, he encloses his hands together as he formulates a plan. First and foremost, he has to regain the League's trust in him. Before that, however, he needs to get a hold of himself. His head shifts to the side, eyes closing as he concentrates on reforming his fingers. He pushes his newfound scattered memories to the back of his mind. Slowly, he breathes, mentally forming a small door to place that part of himself away, at least for now. Izuku is there. He's not going away anytime soon, but he couldn't allow the emotions related to his past to sway him so soon. His digits twitch. He forms a fist, flexing out the newly formed hand. His eyes reopen. He is Kuro now. A loud knock startles him out of his thoughts. He hurriedly opens the door, peeking out. Heterochromatic eyes glare back at him. Kuro freezes, recognizing the other teenager instantly. One of the students from USJ. Kuro struggles to contain his fear. Of all the people he had to run into during the sports festival, it had to be one of the people the League attacked. Are you done yet? You've been in there for a while now. Others might need to use this restroom too. The other boy remarks in a chilly tone, no recognition in his gaze. The young warper nods, a mixture of relief that he hadn't been caught, as well as embarrassment filtering out in the form of fluttering hands and wide eyes. Oh gosh, how long had he been in there? His fingers struggle to type an apology. The other teen doesn't seem to care, washing his face and hair in the sink before stepping out, unperturbed by Kuro's presence. In fact, he takes a step closer to the boy, mouth drawn into a thin line. Haven't I seen you somewhere before? He asks. It is one of the few times Kuro is glad he doesn't have normal features, for surely the other teen would have seen his face grow ashen in response. He tries to think up a response, but the other boy comes to an answer for him. You must be one of the general department kids, right? His brows rise slightly, though the rest of his expression remains static. I thought you looked familiar. What are you doing down here? Spectator restrooms are on the upper level. That explains why the area is so empty. The shorter teen inwardly kicks himself at how easily he could have been captured. Thinking fast, he admits truthfully through his phone, I got lost. And I can't speak so. Oh, is all the other boy states, glancing down at the other's phone as awareness dawns. His fingers drum the back of his cell. Actually, now that he thinks about it, maybe he could use this. Can you help me? Kuro texts. A look of uncertainty flashes across his features. I really don't. Shudo, a deep voice bellows. Kuro nearly flinches at the intensity and anger behind it. Where are you? We need to talk. See any reason not to help. Let's go. The other finishes, leading the other in a fast walk down the opposite end of the hallway. The brightly painted walls give way to more neutral colors as they pass. Kuro knows the layout of the stadium, but seeing it is quite different. The area is more spacious than he presumed, with long corridors and tall ceilings. He wonders if it's to accommodate quirk users with taller than average bodies or merely decoration. How many people could they fit down here? As they put distance between them and the angry voice, the other boy's shoulders seem to sag. His curiosity can only be withheld for so long. Finally, he texts, Are you Shudo? The taller boy blinks, as if suddenly remembering Kuro was with him. After an awkward pause, he answers, Yes, I forgot to introduce myself. My full name is Shudo Todoroki. He releases a tired sigh, then states bluntly, My apologies, but I used you to avoid my father. I didn't actually intend to help you originally. It's okay. I understand. I've been there myself, Kuro admits. There is a small change in the boy's guarded expression. You have issues with your father as well? Kuro pauses, thinking over the statement before nodding. It's not technically a lie when he says, Of a sort. My father wants me to observe the games and detail what I see during them. I love analyzing quirks, but you don't like being forced to do it, Todoroki answers, eyes alight with empathy, or as much as they can be. The boy doesn't seem to emote as much as Kaken did. Sounds like we're in the same boat. A troubling thought came to Kuro. Are you being forced to fight, Todoroki? You can drop out of the games if you want. He shook his head, a fierce glint in his eyes as he raised a fist. No, I want to win, but I want to win on my own terms, without my father's quirk. There is something in the statement that throws Kuro. He's uncertain of whether it's the bitterness or the falsity of the words themselves. But everyone has their own specific quirk, Kuro writes. So how can you have your father's then? He pauses, brows crossing as if contemplating what to say before answering. It's not completely the same. My quirk is called half hot, half cold. I can create fire with one side and ice with the other. But I won't use my fire. His balled fist tightens. That's his power, not mine. And I refuse to let that man win. Kuro can't help placing his index and thumb beneath his chin. There's a lot he doesn't know about the other teen. He recalls seeing him at USJ, but he hadn't been around long enough to see the boy's abilities, merely noting the dual-colored hair and scar as standout features. To hear about the quirk itself is incredible. There's a giddiness, a desire to pick apart the power and find out its secrets, but he holds back. There is something more important to comment on. He texts the next words carefully. Pardon me, Todoroki, may I be blunt with you? The shift in demeanor is instantaneous. The shielded look returns in full force. That depends on what you have to say. His digits tap against the keyboard as fast as he could will them. Your power is incredibly unique. I've never seen anything like it before. I'm curious as to whether it relates to being a homeostasis mechanism where each side balances the other out. Or perhaps it's something along the lines of being a chimera where two eggs merged into one during the gestation process, or, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. What I'm trying to say is, your quirk is your own. Genetics may play a component in how quirks form, but in the end that power is yours, not his. He stresses the last part with bold letters, sticking the phone in the other's face so that he couldn't look away. He watches Todoroki scan the text, eyes widening at his words for a moment before schooling themselves behind a controlled mask. Kuro inwardly sighs. Even if it's not today, he hopes the boy learns to accept his quirk. It really is amazing. You're quite mouthy, aren't you? The taller boy states plainly, even though you don't talk. I can't help but love quirks, he confesses. It's an interesting way of putting it, Though I can't say I agree with your analysis, Todoroki admits coolly. He snorts, typing up his reply. Then let's agree to disagree. Todoroki raises a brow. Are you always this overly familiar with people you don't know? You're not the first person who has told me that, Kuro confesses, gaze flickering to the upcoming stairs. I like to think that quirks are what people make of them. They're unique to each person, like fingerprints. You're a strange one. You're the one who brought up your quirk, not me. He points out, his fingers tripping over the phone's keyboard as his self-consciousness takes hold. He remembers flashes, people's mocking voices. Kakin was the strongest voice, rising above the rest to remind the teen what a quirkless loser he was, how there were winners and losers in this society. That to even dream of reaching for anything higher was pathetic. Looking down at his mutated form, he can't help but wonder, what if Kakin was right? His shoulders hitch upwards when he hears Todoroki cough. Oh gosh, did he zone the other boy out while he was thinking? He writes another haste apology which Todoroki accepts with a neutral nod. I said, I don't think I ever got your name, Todoroki reiterates. The young warper deliberates on how to answer. Kuro might get him in trouble with the league. He's in enough hot water as it is. He didn't feel comfortable sharing his true name either, lest unsavory people learn he isn't as amnesiac as they thought him to be. Finally, he settles for something simple. Deku. Todoroki's brows pinch together as he thought over its meaning. Useless. His frown deepens. Did your father give you that name? He covers his flinch with a laugh. No, he didn't. It's a nickname an old friend gave me. He's actually in your class. Really? He tilts his head to the side, vague interest in his features. Who? He's the one who likes to explode things, is all Kuro answers. Oh, there's an all-knowing look in the other boy's gaze. Looks like Kakin's explosive personality hasn't changed. The warper can feel something on his face twitch upwards. It's nice to know there's at least one constant thing in his life. A melody plays over the speakers. That's the warning bell, Todoroki explains as he turns back. And those are the stairs. See you around, Deku. It was refreshing to talk to someone about this. He looks over his shoulder one last time. Good luck with your father. A soft pang grips his insides. There's little change Kuro will see the other boy anytime soon. They lived in two different worlds after all. Nevertheless, he nods, responding through text to voice. Good luck in the games, Todoroki. I'll be rooting for you. I hope you use your quirk to its fullest potential. Todoroki gives a non-committal response. As he disappears down the hallway, the warper's eyes sharpen. There's no time to lose. He still has a job to do. The screams of the crowds exhilarate him. It's been so long since he's felt this hyped, this alive. The first few fights were easy enough. Shitty hair and round face couldn't put a scratch on him, too slow in their reaction times to keep up. He's not going to play half-assed like the rest of them. He's going to win. He has to. Welcome to the last battle of the UA Sports Festival's first years. Midnight announces, her voice ringing through the arena. Bakugu rolls his eyes. Get to the fucking point, he thinks, tired of waiting. Tired of a lot of things really. Once he beats half and half, he was going to take a nap. The last few weeks had been pretty exhausting, all things considered. Between training for the tournament and searching for clues as to Izuku's whereabouts. The rated R hero waves her hand to the opposite side, the audience's volume increasing as she did. From the hero course, Shudo Todoroki versus. The sounds grew louder. Bakugu rubs his ears in annoyance. Too loud. It almost reminds him of, his jaw tightens. Don't think about it, he inwardly chants. Also from the hero course, Katsuki Bakugu. Her arm swings downward. The crowd goes wild. Start. A mountain of ice erupts from Todoroki's side, narrowly dodging the long spikes. Bakugo breaks through one of the thinner blocks with an explosive punch. Beneath the melting ice, his opponent glares, probably not expecting Bakugo to fight back. Another wave of ice smacks him back. He rolls, ignoring the pain as he rights himself. Just in time, too. The edge of the arena is only half a meter away. But that's not going to deter him. Bakugo cracks his knuckles, attention focused on the boy in front of him. Fuck, you just give no openings, do you? He can't afford to play around like he did with the others. As much as he hates to admit it, Todoroki's quirk is more powerful than his. But only if he uses it correctly. That little fact made the explosive boy less than pleased. Others would have used their powers to the fullest if they had even a modicum of the half-and-half bastard's power. It burns, knowing that the other boy doesn't even see Bakugo as worthy of fighting him at full power. He sure as hell hadn't during the battle trials, destroying Bakugo and glasses in mere minutes with that ice power of his before thawing them out afterward, not even giving them a second look. His teeth clench together as he remembers that moment of weakness. Another wave of ice travels down the field. Bakugo is faster, however, exploding off the ground before making a fiery dive for his opponent. Todoroki tries to block with another ice wall, but Bakugo breaks it down with a well-aimed fist, showing that he's not some one-trick fucking pony like some people. He means business. You know, no matter how strong your quirk is, your precision is crap. Icy hot. He mocks. Don't underestimate me. I'm not Tape Boy. All he receives for his effort is a frosty glare. Bakugo returns the look with a fierce grin. He flexes his hands, sparks flying between his sweat-soaked fingers. Todoroki's ice might be a pain, but the bastard can only keep it up for so long. Bakugo can already see the flicks of frost forming, the other half of his body unable to withstand the constant cold. Come on, I'm not going to wait here all day for you to use it. Fight me with your full power, you bastard, he eggs on. Bakugo isn't going to lose, but he sure as hell isn't going for a wimpy cop-out win either. His pride is on the line, damn it. Because if he can't beat this asshole, where the hell does that put him then? He bites back the developing emotions in his chest. Shit, now is not the time. His second swing doesn't land. Instead, Todoroki grabs his arm and shoulder for a throw. Bakugo twists out of it, cursing when he discovers that the bastard froze those portions of his arm. Breaking up the ice with his quirk, he repositions himself several meters away. Fuck, that's cold. He notes the chilliness with an annoyed scowl. It would take him a few minutes to rebuild the sweat up in that hand. You're exactly the same as him, Todoroki suddenly remarks, grabbing Bakugo's attention with the emotion in his tone. Oh, he'd hit a nerve there. His smirk widens. He saw enough of half-in-half's encounters with Endeavor before the other matches to know about his contention with the number 2 pro hero. Yes, there is no love lost between that father and son pair. Like a little boy with a stick, he pokes the proverbial anthill. Whatever you say, daddy issues. You don't understand. This quirk. He spits the word out as if it were poison, making Bakugo even angrier. I'll win without relying on him. The fucking hell? He is serious right now? His eyes scan the ice-filled arena. It's hard to believe that the asshole is deliberately not using his quirk to the fullest like Bakugo and the others. His teeth grind together. Blood pumping, he charges back into the fight. He cocks back his fist. The nitroglycerin begins to spark. Then die. Todoroki tries to dodge, but Bakugo is faster. Using his other hand to blast himself into the air, he positions himself above the bastard's line of sight. He puts as much sweat as he could into the attack, rage fueling him as he used the strongest move in his arsenal. Howitzer Impact was going to be his finishing move against Half and Half, but the bastard's attitude left Bakugo with a bad taste in his mouth. Normally, he would announce the attack in advance, like he'd seen All Might do numerous times. But fuck that. As practiced, he propels himself in a circular motion, firing off as much explosive sweat as he can. The smell burns his nostrils, but he keeps going. He can't stop. Not now. The heat increases as he turns, burning through the oxygen at a record pace. He cherishes the wide-eyed look on Todoroki's face as he zeroes in. He throws up another wall of ice, but it's weaker than the last. Bakugo can see the frost increasing around his face and arm. 3 meters. 2 meters. 1. He releases his stored-up sweat right as he hits the ice. The wall explodes. Ice rains down on the arena, large chunks flying as he tears through. It's only when the heat changes that he jumps back, smirk developing into a feral grin as the temperature increases. The flames on Todoroki's body eat through the ice surrounding them. The anger in his gaze tastes like victory for Bakugo. He can't help but slow clap, hoping to elicit more fire before he beats the bastard. There it is. Gonna come at me for real this time, or bitch about how your tragic backstory affects your quirk. He motions his index towards Todoroki like a knife. Because I want an indisputable first place. If you've no intention to win, then forfeit, because every one of those extras gave everything they had, and I beat them into the dust. Bakugo barely has time to react before the other flings a wheel of fire at his head. He ducks, grinning like a fool at finally getting some action. The second kick lands, though, throwing Bakugo into one of the melting ice blocks left from his finishing move. The flames around the other boy die, replaced by the chill once more. Your arrogance will be your undoing, Todoroki remarks disdainfully. Bite me, you sad excuse of a peppermint stick. Bakugo snaps back. He stands straighter, ignoring the pain in his side as he dives in for another punch. Unfortunately, just as he leans forward, the bastard says the one thing that fucks him up. Tell me, Todoroki begins, eyes narrowing as Bakugo closes in. How on earth did you and Deku ever become friends? The world stops. At least, it does for Bakugo. Todoroki has other plans. The frost is the only warning before he is smacked back with the stupid ice again. God damn it. The fuck? How do? He doesn't have time to catch his breath. Almost immediately he receives a roundhouse kick to his ribs, pushing him back into the defensive. He grunts. It doesn't seem broken, but it sure as hell feels bruised. You left your right side open, Todoroki says in what Bakugo would describe as deadpan. Fuck, he growls. Do you ever shut up? I could say the same. The fight doesn't stop just because he's hurt. Todoroki continues to attack, forcing Bakugo to use up more and more sweat. He's not the only one running on empty now, though. Icy Hot isn't looking too good either. Howitzer impact left some pretty deep gashes from the ice shards he'd laid to waste. If you wanted to half-ass this, you should have gone to Ketsubutsu. He relights his hands, making another explosive punch into Todoroki's stomach. Fight me with your all, damn it. The bastard literally rolls with the bunch, ending up a mere foot's length away from the edge of the fighting ring. Or what is left of it. He gets up soon enough, left side smoking. Licks of flame decorated the other boy's hand. For someone so desperate to win, that you seem quite determined to lose, Todoroki states with the gall to raise an eyebrow at him, as if he's surprised at Bakugo's words. As if, Bakugo switches stances. He rubs his hands together, trying to induce as much sweat as he has left. Rolling his shoulders until they pop, he shouts back. Once this is over, I'm going to make you tell me how you know Deku, Candy Cane. For a moment, Bakugo almost thinks he sees a smile. I don't have to tell you anything. He readies his fist. Todoroki mirrors him. They charge. While not his finisher move, he readies his arm, shoulder pulling back as he unleashes the remaining explosion in his arsenal. The power crackles, the force behind it strong. But not strong enough. The wall of flames that pushes back is twice as strong, blowing him off his feet. What the flipping hell? He misses the landing, body slapping hard against the cold, hard grass. It takes him a second to realize what just happened. The crowd erupts into cheers, but it's not for him. Match. Katsuki Bakugo is out of bounds. Shudo Todoroki is the winner, Midnight announces. The words echo in his mind, taunting the teen. It's as if someone drenched him in ice-cold water. He lost. The world inside his head falls silent to his failure to meet his standards. It's not the first time either. Couldn't save himself from the sludge villain. Couldn't stop him from killing Deku. Couldn't win the stupid battle trial. Couldn't stop Deku from leaving with the warp bastard. Failure after failure after failure. How is he going to become the #1 hero like this? Shit. Fucking last time I helped someone in a fight, he mumbles behind clenched teeth. Fuck. 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 He hates this. The feeling of despair from losing. He's supposed to be the best. He's supposed to be the winner, god damn it. His arm rises to hide the growing wetness on his face. He wants to hide, to find someplace he can regroup again. But things aren't so simple. He wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. It's not over yet. The ceremony is as grandiose and boring as he expects it to be. He only half listens to it, the rest of his mind wrapped up with the new information Icy Hot presented him. Todoroki had contact with Deku. It's the best lead he's gotten since the USJ incident. It's a sign Deku isn't completely under those villains' control. He'd tried interrogating Todoroki after the fight, but the other boy was too wrapped up in his own identity crisis to give Bakugo the time of day. Figures. Bakugu isn't the only one the asshole ignores either, completely bypassing his father for the podium. It isn't until All Might arrives that he starts paying attention. Now this is what he'd been waiting for. His fingers itch as he mentally prepares himself. Thankfully, he turns off the microphone, whispering something in the third-place winner's ear before giving him a quick hug. Once the man finishes awarding Tokoyami the bronze, he heads over to Bakugu. This isn't the first time they've met, but it's the first time All Might's looked at him since that day. He knows the man has been avoiding his gaze. Despite the big smile, there's a deep-seated guilt in his heavy-set eyes that only Bakugu recognizes, because he sees it every damn day in the mirror. The silver medal feels ungodly heavy, as if taunting him with his weakness for not grasping gold. You made a great showing, Bakugu, All Might states. No, he didn't. But who is he to correct the symbol of peace? Second place is quite a feat. You should be proud of your accomplishments. The words slip out the moment the man goes in for a hug. Deku, Izuku Midoriya is alive and being held captive by the assholes who attacked us at USJ. It's a mouthful, but it's the best he's got. Straight to the fucking point. All Might freezes, muscles tense as his arms wrap around the teen. It doesn't last long, however. He recovers, not missing a beat as he heads over to Todoroki, who is eyeing Bakugu with a look of confusion. At least someone acknowledges what he said. And our first place goes to Shudo Todoroki. I must say I am impressed. Your use of ice and fire are truly outstanding. I hope in the years to come you will grow as both a student and a hero, All Might remarks fondly. Not that Bakugu cares anymore. His chance is over. Of course, All Might wouldn't believe him. What evidence did he have? Other than a name, there is nothing to tie Izuku to the villains at USJ. Hell, most people didn't even pay attention to the second warper behind the first, grouping him with the rest of the low-lived villains there. His hands ball into fists. Bakugu would have counted himself among them if he didn't hear the words straight from the other boy's mouth. He knows Izuku's voice by heart. It haunts him even now. The rest of the ceremony is garbage. He ignores his parents afterward, choosing instead to walk home. They don't bother him. Maybe they get he's in a sour mood and he needs to be alone. Or they pity him. He thinks the latter is more likely. Going with them means the chance of running into Izuku's mom to celebrate, and he can't today. He just can't. That's a can of worms he has no interest in opening anytime soon. Not without proof at least. And proof is something he desperately needs right now. How does he convince people that he's not crazy? Todoroki doesn't count. Bakugu needs someone important to help him. Someone with connections. But how to find them? It sucks, being completely out of his element. Sleuth work isn't something he ever studied in school, and it wasn't like there were classes he could take for it, either like with boxing and drums. When did everything become so complicated? Maybe he should hire a private detective? Could a minor do that? Shit, he really should study up on laws or something. He groans, resting his head on the metal handlebar on the top of the long staircase towards the school. He looks up, staring into the fading horizon with a sense of disappointment. Something shifts behind him. Bakugu's fighting instincts take hold. He swerves, eyes widening as he recognizes the awaiting figure. Young Bakugu, the symbol of peace addresses, eyes alight with a blue fire he hasn't seen in forever. We need to talk. Bakugu doesn't tear up. He doesn't, goddammit. His lips stretch to form a fragmented grin. He so desperately wants to be fierce right now, but the hope in his chest is singing too damn strong and fuck. He's acting like Izuku of all people. He smacks a fist against his open palm. So, you did hear what I had to say. Good. Let's get this started. Chapter 3. The staff room is empty when they enter. Sunlight filters through the blinds, casting heavy shadows across the couch and bookshelves. Yagi makes tea, hoping it would lighten the mood. Alas, it stays untouched as he and young Bakugu's conversation dragged on into the late afternoon. Normally, the old hero would feel slightly bad at wasting the product, but the subject at hand took priority. Yagi hates to admit it, but young Bakugu makes him uneasy. Perhaps it is his volatile personality, changing from anger to solemn at a moment's notice. Or maybe it's the teen's constant glare, unrelenting in its intensity. However, the truth regarding the current situation makes the stare feel even heavier on his conscience. The real reason lies not with the boy presently in front of him, but with the past. Guilt gathers inside his chest, constricting around his heart like a snake. Izuku Midoriya, the poor child he had been too slow to save. It's not the first time All Might has failed to save someone, but the pain and shame still haunt Yagi like a ghost, clinging to his back like all the others. The media blamed it on the boy's recklessness when in fact it had been they, the heroes, the so-called protectors, that failed to save young Bakugo in time. It was a tragic end of young Midoriya. His jaw squares, face growing gaunt at how badly he screwed up. The sting of his failure is accentuated by his last words to the child. Not only had he put the young man's dreams down, he had effectively led to the boy's gruesome murder. Some symbol of peace he is. The self-hatred festers up once more, his pessimism rising like the tide before he smashes it down once more, hiding it behind a tight smile. It is one of the burdens all professional heroes must carry, but the fact by no means lessens the emotional turmoil that comes with the job. He rests his hands beneath his chin as he contemplates young Bakugo's explanation. "And you suspect this villain is young Midoriya?" he responds carefully. The boy bristles at his comment, crimson eyes narrowing beneath disgruntled eyebrows. "I don't suspect. I know. He said that dumb nickname for me back at the USJ. No one else calls me that. Then that asshole Todoroki ran into him during the sports festival. He called himself Deku." He pauses at the name, eyes squeezing shut as if someone punched him in the gut. It takes him a moment to speak once more. "That's the same nickname I gave him." A frown marred All Might's face when he thinks over the kanji. Izuku Deku. The familiar phrase pops into his head, followed by a faint feeling of horror at the connotation involved. "Deku, doesn't that mean?" "Yeah." The teen interrupts, brow rising as if to challenge him. "What about it? You gonna lecture me too? Spare me." There is much he doesn't know about he and young Midoriya's past, although he can piece together some of it. Yagi had been a young, quirkless child once too. The hike in Bakugo's shoulders spoke of regret and pain. Yagi sighs deeply. "I will not lecture you, young Bakugo. You have been through a lot this past year," he answers. "But you think it's all in my head, right?" His hands bunch the fabric on his knees. Yagi notes the faded scorch marks. Bakugo's gaze flickers to the window, eyes glassy. "Never should have told you. Fucking figures." "On the contrary," he begins, snapping the boy out of his wallowing. "I do believe you." "Seriously?" A strange expression flickers over the teen's face, reminding Yagi of how young the boy truly is. The angry wrinkles of his brow disappear suddenly, overcome by wide, vulnerable eyes. It lasts all but a second as Bakugo looks away, blinking the wetness out of them. "If what you say is true, however, I fear for the future of this world." Yagi's hands clenched into fists. He hates to believe it, but ever since USJ, there can only be one possible explanation. "You're absolutely certain your friend was quirkless?" Bakugo responded with a curt nod. "Someone must have given one to him then." Yagi bits down a developing curse. His side throbs in remembrance. Now, it's quite possible Bakugo is merely hallucinating. The child has clearly gone through a lot. He doesn't forget how he looked the day his young friend died, shell-shocked and white as a sheet. If Yagi were a dumber man, he would have chalked it up to grief and gone on his way. But it's not as if Yagi's blind to the world around him. Years of experience have taught him to keep his eyes open. Aizawa did describe a younger warper with the other before he was teleported away in his report. One of the other students also confirmed the villain's appearance as well as his actions in saving young Bakugo from the falling ceiling in the ruins zone. He's glad young Todoroki approached him after the ceremony about the event Bakugo referenced, further cementing Yagi's own beliefs on the matter. The description matched what the Kirishima boy told the teachers. A face made of dark mist, glowing green eyes. He hates to admit it. He doesn't want to admit it because to do so would acknowledge the very terrifying prospect of that man's return. "Someone? Like who?" His student's eyes sharpen. "Apologies. Forget I said anything." Yagi backpedals. He puffs up his chest, pounding a fist to his breast. "Have no fear, young Bakugo. I will take up this matter with the staff immediately." "Bullshit. You said someone gave him a quirk, and it sounds like you might know them." He bristles, standing up from the chair, as if to make himself look more threatening. "It does anything but." "That information is classified," he replies. To his disappointment, though no surprise, he finds, Bakugo doesn't back down. Then I'll find out myself. If you value your friend's life, I suggest you stay out of it, he tries to dissuade. Leave this to the pros. We're trained to handle rescue situations. Inwardly, Yagi berates himself. He never should have said anything in the first place. The boy is too young to understand and too brash to be trusted with such information. You can't stop me, he retorts. Actually, I do believe I can, seeing as I am the teacher here, he responds, putting more force behind his words. A normal student might have balked at the threat. Sadly, Bakugo is anything but. The tea shatters, decorating the table with cold liquid and porcelain. Just as he is about to speak, Bakugo interrupts him, eyes blazing with an anger he knows all too well. Not a chance. You think I came here to be told to back down from saving that dumbass? He growls. You don't understand. You, the sound turning into a distressed whine. Yagi straightens, about to reach out before the boy pulls out of his reach. Fucking, damn it, you weren't there. He kicked the table, making it wobble. You didn't see how he looked. He didn't just call my name. He looked. Yagi leans forward. How did he look? He asked softly. He looked like he wanted help. Some of the anger thawed from Bakugo's expression, leaving behind a rarely glimpsed misery. It's raw and uncomfortable, and Yagi wishes he could hug the child as he did a year ago, but Bakugo is too proud for that now. Instead, he settles for getting up off the chair and resting his hands on the boy's shoulders. I believe you, my boy, and I promise I'll alert the faculty of your findings as soon as possible. We will do whatever it takes to find him. He wants to promise he'll see his young friend again, but his history with kidnapping victims prevents him from saying so, especially those tied up with the villain he is thinking of. The hero inwardly sighs. They've got no idea what they're going up against. Yagi holds on to a sliver of hope that All for One is not back, that someone less horrifying is involved with what happened to young Midoriya. He tries to smile with all the charm he could muster. Truth be told, Yagi just doesn't know who is behind all this, and while that is a terrifying prospect, he wants to keep expectations low until he has a better plan. At least, that is what he tells himself. His mind travels back to the boy's family. His mother would need to be alerted at some point, perhaps when they had more evidence. How he would do so also remains a mystery. Bakugo nods before glaring upwards, a determined expression painted across his face. I still want to help. I know him better than you guys. That, Yagi thinks, is absolutely out of the question. He recalls the painful period of his youth, losing his mentor to the very monster who very likely stole Bakugo's friend. As much as he hated it at the time, Gran Torino was right to send him off to America. Putting the young man in front of him in harm's way made his stomach churn. You're a student, young Bakugo. I am not about to allow you to risk your life in this. Then make me your intern. That way, you can make sure it doesn't come to that, Bakugo says. I'm afraid that position is currently filled, Yagi answers, thinking of his new successor. Mirio is a fine young man, but he needed guidance with his new power. The headaches the boy spoke of made Yagi more than a little worried as well. One for All was incredibly powerful. Even the strongest of bodies could buckle under its weight. And if All for One really is still around, they would need to train even more than ever before. But that doesn't mean there aren't other pros who would be interested. You made a good showing at the festival. I'm certain you will receive many offers once you return to classes, he explains. I don't care about that. I want to be the best. His jaw clenches. I need to be the best. If not you. He pauses, the glare disappearing to be replaced with a distant, frosty look. Then I won't take anyone else. I'll spend that week looking for him. Yagi almost facepalms at the boy's remark. He isn't sure if young Bakugo is foolhardy or fully stupid. No, he realizes, both. He is both. You would risk your future career for such a reckless endeavor. If you failed really bad at something, wouldn't you try again and again until you got it right? You're supposed to be the fucking symbol of peace. He presses on. I keep losing and I fucking hate it. I'm not going to stand still again. He takes in Bakugo's defensive stance. There's no getting around this, Yagi thinks, lips forming a thin line. Young Bakugo is stubborn, even more so than Yagi had been at that age. In terms of internships, he needed someone who could handle him at his worst and kick him into the right sort of gear. Someone like, no. Oh no. You are quite persistent. But I will not budge on the internship possibility, Yagi answers, the wheels moving in his head despite his wishes. Damn, he really shouldn't be thinking about this seriously. Tsh. Figures, the boy grabbing his bag as he began making his way toward the door. I'll do it myself then. Yagi's shoulders drop, thumb and index massaging the arch of his nose. He should let the boy down gently, but he couldn't abandon this child. Not now. Not again. The image repeats across his mind, just as vivid as the day itself. An ashen younger Bakugo, face highlighted with his friend's blood. It lay in stark contrast to young Midoriya, lying on the pavement, his features so calm and striking in death. He recalls the moment when the boy's mother arrived at the hospital to identify his body. Gods, the screams. Even now they echo in his mind. He will never forget that dreadful sound. Yagi shakes himself out of the memory, returning to the topic at hand. An idea forms in the back of his mind. It was crazy, yes, but given the student, it might just work. But I might know someone else who would be willing to take you on, he states. Bakugo stops midway out the door. Someone who trained me to be who I am today, he clarifies. His old mentor might not be the best fit or the best teacher, he thinks with a shudder, but it would certainly give the tumultuous teen some much-needed guidance. He turns fully, lips spreading outward into a confident grin. Someone who trained you? Must be ancient then. If I can secure you an internship with him, you must promise not to look for your friend. Leave it to me and the rest of us pros. Do we have a deal? He raises his hand, waiting for the boy to take it. I can't just sit and do nothing, Bakugo retorts with a lifted brow. I don't expect you to, but if you're correct in your assumptions, then we must be careful, he answers, hoping the boy takes his arrangement. One less potential death the better. I promise to keep you notified of when we find him. He represses the sigh of relief as the other takes his hand into his own, giving it a firm shake. Fine, Bakugo remarks, a hint of bullishness in his tone. But this guy better be fucking phenomenal. Yagi cannot help giving a full-body shudder. His lips pull back into a tight smile. Phenomenal is one word for him, yes. Aizawa didn't have to escort them to the station, but whatever. Everyone seemed pretty hyped except Glasses. Damn nerd ran into him twice. It didn't help that fucking Icy Hot kept eyeing him all the while either. Take a photo, bitch, it'll last longer. The train ride to his internship went smoothly at least. Didn't have to talk to anyone, just listen to his music. Even the walk up to the dude's place is uneventful. It's when he gets to said place that things take a weird-ass turn. There were few things that shocked Katsuki Bakugo. The seemingly unconscious grandpa bleeding all over the floor is a new one though. He accidentally drops the case holding his hero costume as he takes in the scene. His brows knit together as unpleasant memories resurface. Like the gentleman he is, he nudges the geezer with a foot, eyes scanning the perimeters for a possible intruder. The fuck? He ground out, leaning forward to get a better look at the victim. You dead, old man? Bakugo nearly jolts when the man sits up, blinking owlishly as if he hadn't been out cold on the floor moments earlier. I'm alive. He cocks his head to the side, a blank senile smile across his face. Who are you? Katsuki Bakugo. Oh hell no. Is this seriously supposed to be Gran Torino? Not much gran about him except his age, he notes bitterly. His lips pull into a scowl. Are you for real? The smile widens. Wiping off the blood. No, not blood, some sort of sauce or jam or some shit. He gets to his legs, leaning against his cane with a dopey shit-eating grin. I want to eat something. The teen glares. There are several things Bakugo could do in this situation. He could call adult services to let them know there is a mentally incapacitated senior citizen on the loose for one. Another option was to call All Might and ask if perhaps he had the wrong address, because the fuck was he thinking when he sent him to this place? Instead, however, the teen shakes his head, counting to 10 to keep from blowing the roof off this sad shithouse of a home. Okay, I'm out. I don't have time to play this shit. He turns back to the door, reaching down for his case. Shock fills his core when his hand meets air. Eyes widening. He looks around, landing on the old man now shuffling through his hero costume with a look of distaste. So flashy, he notes, the fake confused old man voice changing into something sharper. He glances up, the same smile across his features. Who did you say you were? He might have fooled him the first time, but Bakugo knows better now. A gleam of calculated playfulness crosses his saggy old features, confirming the boy's theory. Cut the crap, old-timer. I know you're acting, he growls. He continues to go through the teen's costume, picking up his gauntlets to examine them. Ah, you're that little Spitfire bastard, aren't you? I saw you at the sports festival. Bakugo rolls his eyes. So did everyone and their mother. You got second place, I believe. Not bad for your first time. All Might won gold in his first year, though. He bristles at the remark. He knows that. It's part of the reason he came. Wow, I never would have guessed the fucking symbol of peace got first, he retorts. We training, or what? Fossil face. Gran Torino's face sharpens. Bakugo barely has time to react before he disappears into thin air. Fuck. It's only a second later he realizes what really happened. The air shifts, the blur catching him off guard as the hero bounces off every possible surface of the small home. The wall behind him shakes as he finally lands, less than a meter from Bakugo's head. I haven't decided yet whether or not to take you on yet. Toshinori claims you're a smart lad, if a little rough around the edges. His lips pull into a mockery of the innocent smile he used earlier. Tell me, why should I make you my intern? The teen glowers, sweat gathering in his palms as he looks over the ancient hero. For once, he's not certain whether he can take this guy on in a fight because Bakugo is fast, but this ancient fucker is lightspeed. Just goes to show you can't judge someone on their appearance. Bakugo isn't about to give up yet, though. If the wrinkly bastard wants a reason, then he would give him one. Because if you don't, then I'm going to go find that nerd. No matter what, he states in a matter-of-fact tone, emphasizing his resolute nature by crossing his arms. And you and All Might can't stop me. Another jump lands Gran Torino right in front of him, rubbing his chin as he remarks, Ah, the younger warper. Bakugo cannot hide the surprise on his face, but it's quickly smoothed over with a look of indifference. Of course, All Might would tell his mentor. An idea forms in his mind. All Might said he thinks he knows who gave him those quirks. I think you know too. His throat grew thick as the air in the room shifted. Dark, flat eyes regard him with a cold, clinical interest like a predator with an unusual prey. Bakugo straightens his shoulders, meeting the gaze with a fiery look of his own. Gran Torino stabs at the air with his walking stick, narrowly missing the boy's face. And what are you going to do when you find that man? He thinks of Izuku's old face, covered in his own blood, the life fading from his eyes as he tried to reassure Bakugo, as if he were the victim and not him. All the times he tried to smash the little nerd's dreams, and even then, the nerd came out on top. A selfless hero. It makes Bakugo sick to his stomach even now. Every barb, every hit he threw at Izuku returned 1,000-fold, sinking into his gut for months on end until he finally dug himself out of that fucking hole, or at least he likes to think he did. His thoughts drift to the new Izuku, strange and nearly unrecognizable with that wispy-ass fog bullshit. If he hadn't said that dumbass nickname in his same old voice, he might never have considered to find a link between the two. But he did. And then he saved him, not once, but fucking twice. Because that's what the idiot does. It burns how easy Deku, Izuku makes it look, even if he's a total fucking weakling. Because if someone as weak as him could be that way, a dark voice inside him whispers, what does that say about you? At the end of the day, someone took Izuku's corpse, because Bakugo was there when he died, there when he had his last breath, there when his body went cold and his mom cried and then made him into something else. Who knows how much Izuku truly remembers? What did they do to him? One thing is for sure, Bakugo isn't going to stand by like last time. Rage builds in his chest, spreading through his limbs like a virus. The words come out with a snarl. Fuck him up. The dark look on the older hero's face takes on a feral nature. I like your style, brat. Cocky little bastard, aren't you? He pushes the cane into Bakugo's chest, tooting. But I don't take on charity cases. If you want to be my intern, you need to show me what you can do. Put on your costume. Hit me once, and I'll take you on for the week. His hands crackle with sparks. Should have started with that, geezer. Chapter 4. Gran Torino considers himself a man of simple pleasures. A long career in his line of work is grueling on anyone, and he's no different. The weight of his mistakes is a constant, heavy burden indeed. Thus, to combat this fatigue, he tries to enjoy whatever he can in life, be it the sweetness of freshly made taiyaki, perfectly pressed and baked into its iconic fish shape, the sun as it rises above his hometown, the smell of his enemies' fear when they realize how badly they underestimated him. Yet out of every one of these things and more, he has found that there is no greater feeling in this world than putting a blonde, overconfident brat in his goddamn place. He'd initially discovered this wonderful feeling when he taught Toshinori back in the day. His lips begin to curl upwards at the fond memory. This Bakugu is no exception. Warm humor spreads across his brow, softening his wrinkles. The fight only lasts a few minutes, 2 or 3 at the most. However, it's enough to tell him what he needs to know. The kid's powerful, but he lacks some finesse big time. Is this UA's best now? His mouth finally cracks into a grin as he inspected the damage to his left boot. It's nothing in comparison to what he did to the poor bastard in front of him, but a deal's a deal. He nudges the kid with his cane, earning a growl. Gran Torino barks a laugh. Even beaten, the kid puts up a fight. This is going to be fun. You okay there, kid? Need me to get you a bandage? How? Bakugu wheezes, disbelief riding his tone. How indeed? Gran Torino thinks dryly. Did a seasoned veteran hero with decades of battle experience take down a high school student? He puts the thought into words, lest that big head of his gets any bigger. Did you really think you could take on a pro, kid? You've got good form and smarts, but you need a lot of polishing. And he came to the right hero for it. Gran Torino begrudgingly admits to himself. Toshinori made the right call on sending this brat to him. He'd been skeptical about taking on an intern. In fact, he'd been planning to turn the kid away after messing with him until he finally got to see the kid in action. There's a bit of favoritism on his left side that needs correction, along with some practice in controlling the size of his explosions. Overall, though, he has a style, fast and hard-hitting, not unlike Torino's. For a novice, the kid gave a good show, but that was no surprise given what he saw in the sports festival. He initially was drawn to the third years on account of Toshinori's successor, but his and everyone else's attention soon became drawn to this firecracker of a kid by the tournament's end. Gran Torino won't deny that watching him say he would defeat everyone at the start, then having his ass handed to him by Endeavor's brat in the finals brought a deep sense of glee to his old soul. Bakuga shifts his head towards Torino, teeth clenched as he says, "Fuck you. I can still fight." Ah, there it is. He recognizes the teen's glare. There's a desperate, fiery hunger there, an ache that only one thing can fill. It's the same as his when Nana died. It's the same as Toshinori's when he sent him off to America to hide. All for one never leaves people unscathed. The fiend was a cancer, stealing the lives of those around him and leaving the victims' friends and families to mourn and wonder what could have been. His eyes narrow into thin slits, mocking smirk fading as his mood sours. Now that very same monster might be back. The fiery ball of rage in his gut he thought long extinguished had reignited the moment his old protege called him with the news, its intensity stronger than ever before. If what Toshinori said is true about the villain, then they didn't have much time to prepare. He wonders if Toshinori understands what he's done, giving this vengeance-seeking little bastard to him. Probably not, Gran Torino realizes. Well, if his former student can have a successor, then why can't he? He almost chuckles at the thought. Now that would be hilarious. He can almost imagine Toshinori's look of horror. And maybe an attitude adjustment, Gran Torino remarks, tapping the kid lightly across the chest with his stick. Bakugu coughs, spitting out what seemed to be blood. Don't let your fight at the USJ go to your head, brat. When it comes down to it, you're still a newbie. Fighting instinct is great, but you sorely lack in the critical thinking department. Too wild. He would need to be brought down to size, rebuilt, and properly trained. A week wouldn't be enough for that. He could make do, though. Teaching the fundamentals shouldn't be too hard. He had beaten it into Toshinori in his first week of school after all. I didn't come here to be roasted by some fucking old midget, the boy bites back. He smacks Bakugu's forehead with his cane. Not enough to bruise, but enough to earn him a grunt. Don't forget, this old midget kicked your ass. I'll speak to you as I damn well please. Placing the cane between both hands, he leans forward. If you want to save that friend of yours, then you've come to the right place. The boy snorts. Rolling to his side, he gets up on shaky legs. I don't need your help. I'll win and save him. Just you watch. Oh, you will. He can't help but taunt, twirling his walking stick like a baton. And yet you came to me. What? You trained All Might. He states bluntly. He motions for the boy to continue. And that's it. Decades of public service, hundreds of hours of saving civilians and heroes alike. And all the boy cares about is the short period of time he taught another blonde-haired brat. Typical. Years ago, he might have been affronted. Now, well into his twilight days, he merely scoffs, annoyed but unsurprised. The kid's not the first fool who had come to Torino under that reason, though he is the first he found himself willing to tolerate it. I tried looking you up, but Kugu continues, flexing his fingers as he gives the man a cautious look over, no longer so confident. You're a nobody. So how the hell are you so strong? I've no interest in fame and glory other heroes desire. I fight because I want to. He shifts his head to the side, brows rising as he takes in the teen. What do you desire, Bakugu? What's your conviction? He should have known the answer before it left the teen's smarting mouth. To kick your ass. Cute, but I want a real answer, he says tersely, no longer in the mood for this game of insult football they've been tossing about. Bakuga seems to have noticed the shift in Gran Torino's mood, because he immediately straightens his back as he replies, I want to be the best. I have to be the best. Why come here then? You could have easily secured an internship with one of the top 10, he comments in a bored manner, brushing past the child to pick up some fallen plates. His eyes linger on the smoking microwave, a victim of Bakugu's along with the table and chair. First thing on his agenda, teaching the boy how not to leave a mess every time he uses his quirk. Because I have to get stronger to be the best, the boy voices in a frustrated manner. So you need to get stronger quickly. I can understand that. He settles upon an undamaged stool, one leg crossing over another. Time waits for no man. Villains won't wait for you to hit your potential. Neither will your friend. He thrusts his cane back at the boy, the teen's eyes widening but not flinching. That still doesn't answer my question, however. The boy's nostrils flare. There's something in the back of his eyes Gran Torino can't quite place, a flicker of emotions that are quickly engulfed by the anger once more. Finally, he answers, I don't give a shit about all that top 10 bullshit. My image isn't going to be about looking good. It's going to be about being strong, like All Might. I want to win against every villain I come across. And he pauses. I need to save him, but I keep fucking losing. So that's why I'm here. That's quite a tall order. But you're not going to win against All for One in the state you're in now. Not even All Might came out of his fight with him unscathed. Who's All for One? His eyes narrow with suspicion. Tashinori really didn't tell you anything, did he? That boy. He sighs. Doesn't matter, I suppose. Your quirk is useful, sure, but you rely way too much on it. He begins picking up the mess, placing it in the nearby trash as the boy watches on, eyes boring into his back. Oi, what's that? Gran Torino gives the boy a slow glance over his shoulder before continuing to work. Here's a life tip. Let go of whatever pride you have about your power. It will get you killed if you don't. Once he's gathered everything, he dumps it into the trash can. Damn, he would need to go shopping soon. I've seen too many heroes with powerful quirks die in their first year because they relied too much on their damn quirk. Do you ever shut up, old man? Bakuga groans, hands stuffed into his pockets. No, get used to it. Now, he states, jumping up and bouncing off the ceiling to land behind the teen. He pushes the boy's shoulder blades forward before lightly knocking the backs of his knees with his cane. Shoulders up, knees bent. We'll drill the basics into you first. Bakugu begrudgingly complies, bottom lip slightly protruding as he asks, and after that, will you tell me more about this all-for-one guy? After that, I'll be getting us some grub while you clean this place up, he explains, spreading the teen's feet out with the stick by knocking against them. A little more to the left. Good enough, he supposes. A new smirk plays across his lips at the boy's annoyance. Finally, he settles with, and after everything else? Well, maybe, just maybe I'll tell you. The frustrated growl is music to Gran Torino's ears. Kurogiri considers himself a faithful servant to his master. He has been under the man's care for more than a decade, obediently taking on whatever tasks the man assigned him. When All for One suggested the hero killer to Shigaraki as a potential ally, the Warper had no objections, trusting in his master's judgment. Shigaraki seemed to be in the same boat as he. As no sooner had the call ended did he order the Warper to bring the man in question to the premises. Getting the man here is an easy feat. It takes but one call to their informant Jiren to bring the man. Getting the man out of the bar, however, is not. Though he would never openly admit it, perhaps, just perhaps, Sensei may have erred in his suggestion. He knows Shigaraki is not yet up to par in his conversation skills as the average person, but the hero killer's reaction was more than excessive. The wound on his chest is evidence of that. His metal collar hits the back of the bar, clanging loudly against the wooden wall. The sharp smell of blood hits before the pain does. Glass shatters, liquor spilling across the bar top. He tries to reach out, to portal the dangerous man away from his charge, but finds his body unwilling to listen. In fact, other than his mouth, nothing seems to work. He bits back a curse as he tries to move to no avail. Instead, he is left shaking in place as Stain leans over Shigaraki, closing in on the other boy as he taunts him. Did you really think bringing me into your torn-down bar and giving me a little speech about your goals would make me want to be a part of your crumbling little league? How dare he? Kurogiri's eyes narrow, disgust evident. Stain doesn't seem to even care about the Warper anymore, attention fully settled on Shigaraki. He flicks his tongue against his teeth, the muscle snaking about his mouth. You can't accomplish anything if you don't have the conviction and desire to fulfill your goals. Without those, you're just an aimless brat. Weak. He digs the knife deeper, earning a soft hiss from Shigaraki and an even darker look from Kurogiri. Achieving nothing. Acting like nothing but a petulant child with a grudge. That's how you got here. The Warper doesn't need to look over Stain's shoulder to know Shigaraki's growing fury. The tension in the room thickens as the hero killer lords over his young master, the dim light casting heavy shadows across their forms. Hey, Shigaraki remarks with a half-lidded glare, the rest of his face calm and controlled in spite of the pain. Getting a little rough now, don't you think? Kurogiri, I think it's time you escorted this guy out. He's grateful the boy hasn't dusted anyone yet, though for once he would not mind him doing so to this piece of trash. Good to know USJ taught him something. His shoulders tremble as he tries to will himself once more. Alas, it is of no use. My apologies. It seems I'm under the hero killer's quirk. No matter how hard he tries, he cannot overcome the paralysis. Damn it, he should have known better. He shouldn't have assumed their home base would be a good meeting place for an unknown. This man wasn't the average thug after all. He racks his mind, going over his mistakes. They could have met the man in a bigger place, created some sort of distance so that if things went south, as they did here, then they would have easily portaled away. If only he had spoken up, said something. Something moves against his leg. His expression freezes. A tug draws his attention downwards. And downwards. A familiar hand waves back. The arm disappears back into the black mist from which it came before resurging once more, this time with a second. The realization hits him like a sledgehammer. That's right. He sent Kuro to the back of the bar earlier. There's only a small rush of relief, sadly, as the rest of him is filled with dread because he knows what Kuro's going to do. Small wispy fingers stretch into thin ropes, carefully perusing through the sparkling wines. But the digits aren't satisfied. No, instead they reach upward, going past his California whites and Italian reds for the motherland of wine herself. He doesn't stop there either. The bottle he grabs isn't a standard or even a liter, but rather a magnum, an aged red he's been saving for his master's next visit. Well, had been saving. Just as he is about to whisper to the boy, the hand disappears, along with the wine bottle holding it. Oh dear. He eyes the collection of liquors behind him, wishing he could take a shot right about now. This is not going to end well, he thinks with fearful clarity. All the while, the hero killer continues to drag on with his gloating, pressing the blade into Shigaraki's shoulder as if he were digging for gold, crimson eyes crazed with purpose. He brings the other knife closer and closer to the boy's neck, coming within centimeters of Shigaraki's father. Don't get me wrong. I hate today's heroes. The word has lost all meaning in this soulless society. He closes in until their faces are centimeters from each other, oblivious to the growing portal above his head. Kurogiri catches Shigaraki's gaze. Like the rising sun, comprehension quickly dawns on the young master. Despite the hand covering most of Shigaraki's face, he can see a slight pulling at the sides of his mouth. Stain's voice grows louder. Glowing green eyes peer down from above. This world is a dump, overrun by imposters who call themselves heroes and low-life criminals like you who try and chase petty dreams. You, them, all must be purged. He doesn't finish his sentence. As if he were an avenging angel, Kuro descends from the warp gate. Instead of a flaming sword, however, he wields the Cabernet Sauvignon directly down onto the hero killer's head. The resulting sound is something between a thunk and a clash, silencing any other noise in the room. Wine glass breaks apart atop the hero killer's thick head, fragmenting into smaller pieces as they meet the wooden floor, the alcohol drenching Stain like the drowned gutter rat he is. A deep warmth embeds itself in Kurogiri's chest, curling around his heart like a satisfied cat. The sensation doesn't last long, however, as Stain does not go down from the head injury. Pulling the knife out of Shigaraki, he tries to catch Kuro, but the boy is faster, scrambling onto his back, whilst holding onto the back of his scarf for dear life. It is a sight to behold. Bucking and snarling, Stain seems less like a man and more like a raging bull, trying to dislodge Kurogiri's youngest charge. Kuro holds his own though, digging his heels into the man's back, evading the two blades as they swung by. "Get your spawn off of me, or I'm taking his head," Stain yells in the direction of the older warper. "I'm afraid there's not much I can do seeing as I'm paralyzed," Kurogiri retorts snappishly, eyes widening in surprise at the venom in his tone. He is usually better at controlling his emotions in situations like this. His gaze never strays from his student, a ball of worry forming. He tries to flex his fingers. The effects are disappearing, meaning Stain's quirk was time-related in some manner. Not as soon as he would like, sadly. Well. Looks like someone is actually useful for once. About time. Shigaraki groans, quietly moving a hand over his injured limb, though not moving his eyes from the hero killer in the slightest. His paralysis must be dissipating too. Stain slams his back and the attached boy against the closest wall. A sharp wheeze is all that escapes Kuro's mouth before he falls into a heap on the floor. Kurogiri's features twist as a large boot presses down on the child's chest. The warper's fingers twitch and twerk. Dark, infectious rage latches on, only held back by his immobile body. Kuro is young, inexperienced, and foolishly heroic. Another mentor might be proud of his student's behavior. Kurogiri feels nothing but fear for his charge and fury towards this man. Light catches against steel, Stain twirling the blade around before holding it out in the air, ready to strike. "Trying to save your friends? How heroic of you." He broke into a bloody smile, lips stretching from ear to ear. It is his first and last mistake. Just as he is about to swing down, he finds the blade is gone, crumbling into dust. He barely dodges Shigaraki's next move. Even wounded, Shigaraki stands tall. Carefully adjusting the hand on his face, he gives Kuro a quick glance before advancing on the man. "What do you think you're doing? I'll give you a pass for trashing my bar, but then you tried to touch father, and now you're trying to kill one of my subordinates." He growls raspily, voice rising with every word. He steps over the broken glass. "I should kill you. You talk a lot, Mr. Hero Killer. Convictions and desires? What are you, some sort of low-effort RPG? All I want to do is kill All Might. This world worships the symbol of peace." He clenched both hands into fists, eyes wild. There is a heaviness to his words, a raspy severity that promises unimaginable pain. It sends a shiver down Kurogiri's spine. I'll destroy him and crush them all while they're too shocked to do anything about it. It's a good proclamation. Kurogiri wishes the boy had started with that earlier, but he'll take what he can get. Shigaraki is still new to this side of the business after all. Shigaraki opens his palm. The blade's remains now falling dust. "And now I'm injured again. Right when I was about finished healing," he huffs. "Didn't anyone teach you not to play with knives? Not everyone has a healer in their party." The air is thick with tension. Kurogiri rolls his wrists. working his way through the rest of his arms at a steady pace. It wouldn't be long before he would be back at full power. Now, soon to be 3 against 1, Stain changes stances, placing his remaining blade back into its sheath. I didn't know you had such faithful little followers. He glances at Kurogiri's youngest charge with a look the Warper detests. I misjudged your nature. Our goals fundamentally oppose each other, but perhaps this wasn't in vain. One could almost say it's a success. We both see the present needs to be destroyed. All 3 members of the League throw the man an incredulous look. The wounds on Shigaraki and Kurogiri and the boot print on Kuro's chest say bloody otherwise. Do you honestly think I want to work with you now? Shigaraki voices, motioning his thumb downwards and across his neck. Eat shit and drop dead. I thought you hated people like me the most. Are you a hypocrite now too? As much as Kurogiri would love to warp the man straight into Tartarus, losing Stain at this point would be a waste of an opportunity. Going by the hero killer's present expression, he seems to be in the same boat. All for One didn't suggest Stain without reason. There's a mutual benefit here, even if Kurogiri didn't know as of yet what that is. Stain walks over to Kuro, picking the boy up by the arm to set him back on his feet. His student is wise enough not to start anything more. Shigaraki doesn't move forward, which Kurogiri takes as a good sign. He hopes. I was merely testing your resolve, Stain replies in an even tone. Everyone shows their true colors when on the brink of death. Your conviction is warped, but I see the dark seed of desire within you. I wonder, how will it bloom in the end? He cocks his head to the side, eyes almost glowing underneath the dim lighting. Will you become a tree that stands the tests of time, or a mere weed among the rest of the weeds? Well, if you don't turn out well, I can always get rid of you later. You? Get rid of me? Their leader almost seems amused by the challenge. He's never quite sure, though. A robotic voice speaks from Kuro's phone. Shigaraki's a plant? The other people in the room ignore the question. Thankfully, Kurogiri doesn't have to wait much longer to intervene. He moves back from the bar, sliding into a defensive position. The paralysis has vanished. Shigaraki notes the change with a small nod. You okay? I'm free now, is the Warper's answer. My time limit seemed to be longer than yours. He would need to report this to Sensei. Such an ability might prove useful to his master's arsenal. Good. He waves a hand in a shooing manner to Stain. Kurogiri, get this man out of here. Someone as crazy as this won't bring anything but a headache to the League of Villains. The older man clenches his jaw. While Shigaraki's guardian, he represented all for One's interests above all. Sensei must be obeyed after all. Please reconsider. Sensei believes him to be a great asset if he joins us. He defends half-heartedly, then adds, we would be more successful in spreading our name if he joined us. That seems to get Shigaraki's attention. For all the boy's childishness, there is a hidden calculative nature beneath the surface, weighing the pros and cons of Stain's alliance. He can tell the boy would rather do anything else but relents, rolling his eyes. Fine. Whatever. Then my business here is done. Return me to Hosu. I have unfinished dealings with several false heroes there, Stain says with a dark smile full of promises. Kurogiri almost pities the heroes. Almost. He pulls forth a warp within seconds. After you. It would take the man directly to the city, though perhaps not where he expects. Kurogiri is thankful he has enough experience with the city's layout to recall the location where the citizens dumped their garbage. Is it petty? Yes. Did he regret? Not in the slightest. The bar is silent in the wake of what happened. Slowly, as if on autopilot, Kuro begins to pick up the mess with his bare hands, careful to avoid stepping on any broken parts. Kurogiri moves to join, but Shigaraki raises a hand. 2 long strides are all it takes to be in front of the boy. Kuro, for his part, doesn't freeze up at Shigaraki's closeness, though he does slow down in his cleaning. You know, the white-haired boy begins. I always just thought you were a shitty version of Kurogiri, Kuro-chan, but you did good today. If I wasn't so pissed off with that bastard, I'd be impressed. A sliver of teeth appears. He knows Shigaraki is trying to appear friendly. The expression doesn't seem to ease Kuro, however. I guess this means we can use you for the next stage of our plans. A surge of unease fills the older warper. Are you certain he's ready? Kurogiri asks, trying to ascertain Shigaraki's intentions for the boy. Little Bird has to spread his wings at some point. He yawns, the noise quickly transforming into a hiss as he accidentally touches his injured arm. Besides, I have the perfect way he's going to prove his loyalty to us. Kurogiri didn't need to look at Kuro to know the boy's feelings on the matter. Picking up a broom, he gets to work, mentally reviewing the night's events and intense emotions that had sprung forth over and over. When did he become so protective of his charge? Did it start at USJ? No, sooner than that, he realizes. The boy was now an integrated part of Kurogiri's life. Standing between the two boys, he takes note on how familiar these feelings of protectiveness are, a shadow of something he can no longer recall. It is disconcerting, to say the least. This, he thinks somberly, is not good. Chapter 5. While the train car softly sways past another row of buildings, Katsuki Bakugo shifts his gaze back to the window for what feels like the 50th damn time today. Others might find such moments of quiet free time to be a reprieve. Bakugo finds them suffocating, especially now. The sun passed over the horizon half an hour ago, but the teen's body still buzzes with energy. Everything about him is alert. And why wouldn't he be? His muscles twitch, fists clenching tightly around his pants as he gears himself up for some real fucking hero work. Though sore from his third day of training with the fucking geezer, he is oddly invigorated. A rare sensation considering the sleepless nights he has. The nightmares are more manageable than normal this week. Well, more or less. Passing out from training exhaustion certainly isn't ideal. He taps his forefinger and thumb against the window glass, the words spilling out as his impatience takes hold. How much longer until we get to Shinjuku? His focus switches back between his phone and the train's map. Why did minutes take so long to pass? Ugh. His brows furrow deeper as his irritation rises. Eager are you? Gran Torino chuckles. His fingers drum the armchairs, feet kicking out playfully like a toddler instead of the midget-ass old ricin he is. His little pretend-to-be-senile game may have gotten them free tickets aboard, but Bakugo is nearing his limits. He wants to go. Now. He slumps in his seat, retorting, "Shut up, old man." The curt answer earns the young hero a solid hit to the side. As Bakugo gasps for air, the old fart has the gall to smirk. Feisty today? Good. You'll need that. I'll kill you, he growls. The man's smirk takes on a sharp edge. I'd like to see you try. His lips pull back into a snarl. The fossil is goading him again. He unclenches his fists as he realizes the futility. Gran Torino looks unfazed by most things. Unlike his classmates, his threats have no effect on this bastard. If anything, the old man enjoys them. Try as Bakugo might to strike back with jeers and taunts, the bastard throws it right back at him, twice as hard and twice as brutal. There's another reason as well, his mind reminds, much to his displeasure. Although he would never openly admit it, the hero is oddly refreshing in comparison to the other adults he's had to tolerate. Seeing no reason to continue with this line of conversation, Bakugo swiftly changes the subject with an obvious remark that makes him want to kick himself afterward. But it's late. Most people will be asleep when we get there. Of course, it's fucking late. The watch on his phone already shows it's pushing past the time he's normally in bed. Decent sleep or not, relaxation has a significant effect on his pores. Exactly. The man's eyes grow wide, nose scrunching up to complement the glee on his face, deepening his wrinkles. The later it is, the more skirmishes we'll find. Villains are always the most active at night. Much more fun. Bakugo cannot help but match the man's expression. His dark enthusiasm infects the teen. Bakugo adjusts his bracers, thinking of all the new moves he's developed these past few days. I like the way you think, old fart. Gran Torino's promise of some action had enticed the young hero to come on the trip. But this new piece of info about going out to look for trouble in the middle of the night? Fuck yeah. After all, how many heroes took their interns out to beat the shit out of villains? Not many, according to Class 1, as group chat. Not that he ever uses it. He has no need for distractions, especially not from those dumb extras. Nevertheless, he sneaks a glance towards his phone screen as the seconds tick by. His earlier excitement begins to wane. He supposes it wouldn't hurt to see what the others are doing. He quickly thumbs through the recent messages. noting everyone's comments with vague interest. Why does Shitty Hair keep trying to DM him crap? Who cares about which punching bag is better? He mentally rolls his eyes. Surprisingly, their class president hasn't said shit about the meme war going on between Pikachu and Grapefucker. How stupid. Usually, Glasses is more on top of this shit. Not that Bakugu gave a shit. Hey, did you see that? Some buildings exploded. One of the passengers yells. More people join in. Bakuga shoots a quick glance at his mentor. Soon enough, passengers are shuffling about, the air shifting into one of curiosity and concern. Bakugu catches a glimpse of the next explosion, smoke overtaking the skies as flames flicker from below. His gaze sharpens. A gas explosion? A terrorist attack? Just as the team begins to stand up, the intercom comes on. Passengers, please stay in your seats. The train decelerates rapidly, knocking both trainee and mentor forward into the next seats along with everyone else. Not that it matters much. A loud bang and crash drag both men's attention several seats ahead. Debris scatters across the cabin. In the blink of an eye, a pro-hero's body is thrown upwards, hitting the ceiling before crumpling to the ground below. After him, the perpetrator's green head and arms reach inside the carriage, clearly looking to continue his carnage. Bakugu's eyes widened as he caught sight of the exposed brain. Deja vu envelopes him. The man's face was exactly like. Stay back, kid. The air shifts beside him as Torino takes off, bouncing from seat to seat for the front. The villain didn't seem finished with the hero he captured, crawling over him with a hand outstretched towards his head. Fucking hell, is all Bakugu can say before his mentor swoops down with a flying kick, followed by a roundhouse to the villain's chest that throws both out of the train into the city below. Adrenaline courses through his veins. He takes in the scene of the burning city for a moment, then sets off towards the direction Gran Torino took. After taking one big leap forward, he blasts off towards the city, taking in the chaos below with a grimace. The heavy scent of smoke and burnt plastic makes his nose twitch. Holy shit, that's a lot of fire. Not the only weird-ass villain either. He spots a flying version of the earlier bastard, exposed brain, and all. His frown deepens. This is too damn similar to the monster from USJ to be a coincidence. He might not have seen the creature fight like his classmates and teachers did, too caught up with Deku at the time, but he sure as hell remembers its unconscious body. That ugly bastard seemed more monster than human, just like these assholes. His brow furrows as a new idea enters his thoughts. If they are all related, that means they work for Handjob Dude, right? Shiggy whatever the fuck he calls himself or something. Is he the ringleader in this as well? Unless the exposed brain dudes work separately. Damn it. He wishes there was more information on these bastards. What is their goal? Is the handy guy the ringleader, or is this all for one asshole Torino mentioned the one in control? Either way, this is one big mess. His thoughts scatter as he spots his mentor. Slowly cutting off the power to his gauntlets lets him roll into a safe landing as the old bastard taught him, easing back into a stand a few meters from Gran Torino. Unsurprisingly, he is not happy with the young hero's arrival. What did I tell you, brat? Before he can say anything else, Gran Torino narrowly dodges a well-aimed fist. The villain screeches in displeasure. Bakugu hits his arm against his chest, yelling back, like hell I am. What's going on here? Oi, did you hear me, geezer? As if he had sixth sense, he ducks down immediately, barely avoiding a head smack from the older man. His training is paying off at least, he notes wryly, though he cannot evade the man's kick to the back of his knees. Idiot, you should have stayed where you were. You really think I'm going to stay back and let you have all the fun? Bakuga challenges with a feral grin. Unfortunately, their little reunion is cut short by another flying fist. Both heroes jump aside before charging towards the villain once more. As the creature makes another swipe for them, Torino slams a foot across its jaw, sending the villain careening into a bicycle rack. Stupid kid should watch where he's going, comes Torino's exasperated if not amused voice. It's not over yet, however. The villain shoots forward, arms raised from behind the old man. Bakugu blocks the attack with his gauntlets, then redirects the force with a fiery backhand smack. Dumbass fossil needs to retire if this is all he's got, the teen retorts cheekily. He receives a huff in response. Enough chit-chat. The older hero snaps, features sharpening as their opponent tries to scurry away, heading for a couple of civilians. He's attacking indiscriminately. Bakugo, Kinyu. An increase in heat is Gran Torino's only warning. The teen shoots for the man to move as the flames rush toward him. Thankfully, his mentor bounces back in the nick of time. Can't say the same for the villain, though. The fire roared through the area, engulfing him. Watch it. You almost burned me, you little asshole, the old man growls. Bakugo shifts his attention from the burning monster to the direction of the fire. That wasn't me. Indeed, it isn't. The newcomer makes Bakugo want to roll his eyes, though. Just his luck, it's this guy? Out of all the heroes he expected to see in Hosu, he didn't think he would run into number 2. The man struts forward, exuding confidence and arrogance like the flames coating his face. I was looking for the hero killer, but found something else instead, Endeavor remarks, giving a short look to Torino before landing on Bakugo. I have no idea who you are, Elder. I recognize you, though. His pause and superior smirk make the blonde annoyed as all hell. Leave the rest to me. No way in fucking hell. A rare flare of protectiveness rises in his chest. He nearly turned Gran Torino crispy. Did Firecrotch not see how fucking dangerous that was? He voices his displeasure quickly. Seriously? What are you doing here? Endeavor scoffs, walking past them as the fire quells. The answer is obvious. I'm here because I'm a hero. Bakugo cringes. Endeavor is a strong hero, no doubt. Something about him just makes the spiky-haired teen want to pull his hair out. However, perhaps it's due to how opposite the man is to the symbol of peace. All Might gives people faith in his power, a trait Bakugo is damn well determined to do. Endeavor doesn't have that. Probably never will, so long as the number 1 hero is around. Plus, his personality is kind of shit. At least he isn't alone in his disinterest. He spots daddy issues rolling to a stop not far behind the man. I will secure the area. Shudo, take the civilians to safety. Endeavor blasts away before anything more can be said, leaving them down to 3. Todoroki notes their presence with a lifted eyebrow and curt nod. Bakugo gives his new costume a quick review, then looks back to Torino, ready to beat up the next bastard. Sadly, the man does the opposite. Bakugo, you too, his mentor adds. Civilians first. The teen wants to reply, but the look on Torino's face tells him otherwise. He bites his inner cheek to keep from cursing. He already spent half of this morning getting beaten up by the Yoda-looking motherfucker. A begrudging nod is his only reply, fists tight at his side as he watches the older man speed off toward where he presumes all the action is. And now he's stuck with Icy Hot. Great. Escorting people is easier said than done. Both teens struggle to lead the terrified crowds, people running and jumping over one another to get away from the violence. Hosu doesn't have the hero presence Mizudafu or the rest of Tokyo does, meaning they are largely on their own. He looks back at the destruction with a curious look. Why attack Hosu? Did it have some connection to the hero killer? He thought back to what happened weeks before. Didn't Glasses' brother get sliced up by that weirdo? He bit the inside of his cheek as he weighed the evidence in front of him. Similar monsters to the one at USJ appearing in the same city as the hero killer can't be a mere chance. There is something going on here. Someone is pulling the strings. Who or why remains unanswered. However, his nose crinkles. He's got a hunch, though. The further into the center they go, the hotter it gets. Bakugo wipes the sweat from his brow, eyeing the lingering media crews in the area. They film the chaos, oblivious to the surrounding dangers. One reporter even approaches the two, shoving a microphone into Peppermint Boy's confused face. The woman hurriedly rushes through her words. Excuse me, I'm HNA's frontline report. I don't care. Icy Hot interrupts, voice as monotone as ever. You need to go to the safe zone. This way. She doesn't even bat an eyelash, continuing over the other boy to ask, can you tell us anything about these villains? Why did they attack Hosa City? Are they related to the mysterious hero killer? Fuck if I know, but Kuga growls, taking the microphone and chucking it in the direction they needed to go. You heard Icy Hot. You need to run that way. My hero name isn't Icy Hot, the other boy remarks. It's Shudo. Who the fuck cares? That's dumb as shit. Using your first name is as your hero name is crap. He scowls when he finds the news crew still there. Oi, lady, what did I say? Go that way. No. How dare you throw my mic? Do you know how much this costs? Who the hell do you think you are? She exclaims, waving the microphone at his face threateningly. Before he can answer, the reporter's dumbass cameraman nearly swings his shitty equipment right into Bakugu's head. His hands crackle and pop, a reflection of his growing anger. He didn't care how expensive that video camera is. If they didn't leave right now, it would be Bakugu's property soon enough. Look, over there. Someone's on the rooftop, the cameraman shouts. Zoom in, the reporter says excitedly, now ignoring the two heroes in training. Bakugu can feel his patience running thin. I'm trying. Oi, he shouts to deaf ears. His gaze follows their line of sight. The sky is muddied by a heavy layer of smoke, casting the area in a reddish tone. He squints, trying to see what they were talking about. It's only when the smoke begins to dissipate does he see him. Short is his first thought, probably young. Maybe a civilian who got stuck up there by one of the flying villains? As his vision adjusts, his eyes widen in realization. The figure standing atop the building is in stark contrast to his surroundings, his wardrobe more suited for a diner party or fancy bar. But that isn't what makes him freeze. Who is that? The reporter asks. Bakugu answers with a piercing roar, Deku. It doesn't take long for his mission to take a wrong turn. On any other day, Izuku would be glad to see his old childhood friend once more. Kaken, in spite of their past, has always been an inspiration for him with his driven nature and amazing quirk. Unfortunately, today he is not Izuku Midoriya. Still, he cannot help but mentally whisper the other's nickname in response, eyes widening as he spots the boy below. Kaken seems to be doing well, or as well as one can be when a city is being attacked. Seconds pass, making Kuro wonder if the boy will ignore. Nope. Never mind. Kaken explodes off the ground, eyes wild and absolutely terrifying, and Kuro knows terrifying quite well. Whoever said the only thing one has to fear is fear itself is a goddamn liar, Kuro inwardly concludes, scrambling in the other direction. Get back here, Deku. Instead of doing what the boy asks, Kuro does the exact opposite. His feet fly across the rooftops, adrenaline powering his jump over the ledge to another building. Not that it matters much. Kaken is hot on his trail and coming in fast. He rolls to the side as the blonde makes to grab him, barely catching himself from toppling to the ground below. He sneaks a peek and gulps. Kuro isn't sure if his body is able to go spat, but he isn't willing to find out. He's back on his feet a moment later. Kaken recovers just as quickly, bouncing off the brick walls to put himself directly in Kuro's path. You think you can run from me, but it's not going to work, the other boy warns. Kuro tries to backstep and feint left, yet Kaken follows, copying his footwork. Looks like the hero school is teaching him something after all. Kuro observes it all with a mixture of admiration at Bakugu's growth and exasperation that he has to witness it right now of all times. His right hand subconsciously pats his pocket. The taste of guilt fills his mouth. He wishes he could tell the boy about the league, try and get some sort of information out, anything, but no, it's too risky. Kurogiri and Shigaraki aren't too far away. In fact, he thinks with a shudder, he wouldn't be surprised if they were spying on him even now. Kaken takes a step forward, red eyes alight with an eerie glow from the surrounding fires. His expression hasn't changed, still fierce and angry as hell, yet instead of getting into a fighting position, he has his arms in front of him. Kuro pauses. Bakugu mirrors the action. Perhaps he is trying to talk? That isn't like the Kaken he remembers. But, then again, neither of them are the same people they were in junior high. Izuku, he addresses, just talk to me, damn it. What the hell's going on? Kuro looks down at his feet. He desperately wants to do exactly that. There's so much at stake now, and everything is moving so fast. His lips move. Yet, as expected, all that leaves them is air. He closes his mouth with a soft click. Frustration furrows his brow. Even now, he is unable to speak. His hands form fists. The doctor took that away from him. He'll take much more if they discover him and Bakugu having this conversation. The metal collar around his throat feels constricting as it reminds him of his primary task. All it takes is a tug to open the portal. Kaken's eyes widened in shock. Just as his old friend has improved, So too has Kuro. Before the other teen could reach him, he's already slipped away, a kilometer away towards the south. The fall isn't gentle. Even though he's mentally mapped out the area, he knows the angle isn't perfect. His knees smack against a concrete roof. He hisses. The pain isn't the worst part about it, however. He grasps at the wisps of his hair. It's not like how it was before, curly and coarse, but it will do for now. A groan escapes his mouth. He tries to calm himself. As his fingers solidify, he thinks back to earlier in the evening, where this entire mess all began. Meeting with Stain once more left Kuro no less on edge as he had been during their previous engagement that day. Or was it last night? Kuro remembers rubbing at his eyes, the sleepless night of cleaning the bar evident in his stance. He is significantly better off than his colleagues. However, Kurogiri is weakened and Shigaraki, despite all his acting, is hurt worse than either warper combined. Still, he cannot help but shake his head at the meeting place itself. A water tower? Was Stain for real? It creaked beneath the combined weight of the four. He and Kurogiri were ordered to stand behind should Stain make another move like before. Shigaraki wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The more Kuro has come to know Shigaraki, the more he terrifies the young warper. Despite his poor social skills, the man-child was a skilled tactician. His failure at the USJ didn't make him humble, but it did give him something to think about. Though it might be too early to call, Kuro would say that out of everyone in the league, Tamura Shigaraki was going to be the biggest wild card for the heroes. Which meant bad news for the rest of Japan. Kuro's arms crossed as Shigaraki took a step forward, the last wisps of the portal dissipating. Hosu City. Shigaraki had commented first out of the group, looking about with vague interest. It looks nicer than I expected. What do you have planned? This city must be reformed. In order to do so, I must take down more false heroes, came Stain's dark voice, its tone sending shivers down Kuro's spine. His mentor rested a hand on his shoulder, giving it a squeeze. Kuro interprets the motion as both a comforting gesture and a careful warning. As such, his body relaxed, face composed into a blank expression. Kurogiri responds to Stain's remark in a level voice. So this is what you meant the other day. I see. I'm glad at least one of you understands, the other man replies. Shigaraki reached up towards his injury before pulling back at the last second. Is that a swipe at me, hero killer? Stain turned away from all of them, standing up with arms outstretched toward the city. The term hero has lost its meaning in this damned society, he began, disgust riding his tongue. There are far too many who pretend to be heroes, but who are really money-worshipping scum. They are dogs of the government who have forgotten what the word really means. So it is up to me. He unsheathed his sword. Until the world realizes its mistake, I must bring justice to these pretenders. And with that, the vigilante leaped off the water tower, running towards Hosu with a murderous intent that made Kuro's stomach curdle. Stain needed to be stopped. If only Kuro could call the heroes. He recalls eyeing his phone for a moment, contemplating how long it would take to get a call out to the authorities before the league shut him down. No, he already suspected his phone was chipped as a precaution. Shigaraki scratched at his neck, shoulders lifting as his annoyance rose. What a stupid monologue. He talks all high and mighty, doesn't he? He waved his other hand about, acting like his murdering spree is some sort of movement. He's so chivalrous I could almost cry. I suggest you don't take him so lightly. Every city he has appeared in, the crime rates there have fallen, Kurogiri explained, arms folding. The news media has even made note of it. He has successfully woven himself into the hero's collective psyche. No small feat, they are reacting to his actions. And who told you that? Shigaraki side-eyed the older man, his scratching intensifying. I researched it, Kuro typed, the robotic voice invoking Shigaraki's dry laughter. It had been one of the assignments Kurogiri gave him. Being the hero-obsessed teen that he was, it didn't take him long to find articles and videos about the vigilante. How ironic. The hero killer is a hero breeder too. Shigaraki turned about, voice taking on a sarcastic tone. What a twist. The mocking expression fell from his face, arms falling to his sides. But I've no interest in twists. The hero killer and I are too different. Kurogiri tilted his head. Is that right? He also annoys me, Shigaraki added, arms folding together. Kurogiri, bring out the Nomo. We're going to have some fun. Though he hit it on his face, Kuro's stomach clenched at Shigaraki's demand. The Nomo? Here? That was bad news for everyone. The urge to tell someone grew in his chest. He should stop this. His hands balled into fists. But how? He couldn't just punch Shigaraki. The moment he did, Kurogiri would teleport him away, and then it was back to the doctors again. Kuro inwardly shuddered. Shigaraki continued on, Kurogiri complying to the man's insane request. He really thought he could get away with stabbing me without repercussions? Shigaraki shook his head. If I want to kill someone, I just will. That's it. I don't need some noble bullshit reason to do it. Kurogiri bowed at the waist as the final Nomu landed on the roof. We are yours to command, Shigaraki. I can't wait to crush his so-called honor and pride. Shigaraki paused, one red eye flickering over to Kuro. The teen gulped. Come here, Kuro-chan. There was a promise in his voice that spoke of danger. Kuro almost hesitated, but walked over to the man. Kurogiri was the one to visibly react. He tilted his head toward their leader, one hand motioning to their youngest member. You're doing this now? Don't act so surprised, Kurogiri, Shigaraki chides playfully, cracked lips stretching. He did well. This is simply a reward. His gaze settled on the teen who stood in front of him. Do you remember what I said about the next stage of our plans? Kuro found himself in agreement with the older warper. He had hoped there would be more time, more preparation, but Shigaraki is rarely predictable. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded. Good. Now, I don't see this deal of ours with the hero killer going anywhere after this. That's where you come in, he said. He placed a hand on Kuro's shoulder, pinky raised but a few centimeters from his dress shirt. His other fingers tightened like a vice. Your job is to take as many notes as you can. Use those little analysis skills of yours, got it? See if you can figure out how his quirk works. Kuro shook his head, then took a step back. Unfortunately for the teen, Shigaraki pulled him back before he could make another step. The younger boy froze. Up close, he could see a flicker of annoyance at his misstep smooth over into a calculating look on Shigaraki's face. Without warning, he turned the boy around, swinging an arm over his shoulder. I'm not quite finished, little shadow, he whispered into Kuro's ear. If the Noma can't kill the hero killer, then someone else needs to finish the job. He placed something cold and metallic in Kuro's hand. The boy didn't need to look down to recognize what it was. Kuro recalls how his stomach churned with unease at the implication. Show us what you can do, Kuro-chan, was the last thing Shigaraki said before throwing the boy off the water tower to Kurogiri's awaiting portal. The teen releases a deep sigh as his thoughts return to the area before him. Hosu was a decently sized city, which means lots of infrastructure and commercial buildings. It would take a normal person forever to find Stain. Kuro closes his eyes as he places his hands out. The tug of the warp begins to open. This time, however, he does as Kurogiri instructed and splits the sensation. He likens it to pulling apart a braid, or perhaps more accurately a bundle of sticks. Small portals form in front of him, each taking up different coordinates. He takes a deep breath. Concentration was key. He doesn't have the experience that Kurogiri does, but he does excel in creativity. He mentally maps the different alleyways in Hosu. Peering through the first 5 gives him no results. His fingers ache to write it down. Making a small warp to his room back at the bar, he feels around before pulling out the familiar pen and notebook. Flipping to the page where he drew out the map of Hosu, he marks off his findings. The next 5 show little results as well. Flicking his pen between his fingers, he taps it against the paper. If he were Stain, where would he go? Somewhere close enough to the action, but far enough from prying eyes. A backstreet near the center then. He counts 20 possible routes. Closing down the previous portals, he summons the next one and... bingo! The hero killer's voice is distinct enough for Kuro to pick up. Peering into the portal gives him a bird's-eye view of the man. His long blade is lined with blood. That's not the worst part, though. A hero lays crumpled beneath him, immobilized as Kurogiri and Shigaraki had been. His eyes narrow in disgust as Stain licks the blade with his long tongue. Quirks usually come with physical characteristics. He notices the other hero nearby on the wall in a similar state of paralysis. Every time Stain has cut someone, they are soon unable to move. Did it have something to do with the blade itself? Did he imbue it with poisonous properties? But that wouldn't make sense since Kurogiri and Shigaraki were paralyzed near the same time, while the latter recovered much quicker than the former. Did it have to do with age, perhaps? He didn't have time to think much more as the man raises his blade above the hero's head. Wait, no, not a hero, that's a kid. He's one of the UA students from the sports festival, Kuro realizes with a jolt. Goodbye, little fake, Stain remarks as he brings the sword to its peak above his head. You shall be an offering to a more just and heroic world. Shut up. Just shut up, the boy below him states, voice breaking and tugging on Kuro's heartstrings. The warper's fingers twitch. No matter what you say or how you say it, you're just the criminal who hurt my brother. Don't worry. I'll make sure he'll join you soon. And with that, the man switches his hold into a jab, sinking it down at a blinding speed. But not fast enough. Kuro's body moves. It takes only a moment for the young warper to jump through the portal and block the attack with the blade Shigaraki gave him. His eyes narrow as Stains widens. You, the hero killer growls, accusatory and bone-chilling. Kuro shifts his gait, tugging harder than ever before as he creates more warps, as much as he can really. He only risks a small glimpse at the boy next to him. The UA student appears thoroughly bewildered. The young warper can empathize. He's feeling a bit that way too. He turns to face Stain once more. Raising a shaky hand, he gestures for the hero killer to come at him, as Kaken might do. The piercing glare makes Kuro immediately regret that decision. Chapter 6. It's one of the few instances Kuro is glad no one can see his face, for it would certainly be paler than milk at this moment. He forces himself to breathe steadily, a difficult task when his heart rate is going a mile a minute. In an effort to protect the student and himself, the young warper switches into a defensive stance. The gates he created moments earlier won't last for long. He can hear the blood pumping in his ears, wildly spiking as he takes in the situation. It doesn't take him long to form an answer. This is the worst-case scenario he could have imagined happening. His training with Kurogiri and Shigaraki has given him the skills to defend. The problem lay in his attack. Warp Gate isn't meant for close-quarters combat. The alleyway is by no means spacious either. He remembers enough about Stain's fight in the bar to know that not even Kurogiri could form a portal fast enough to keep up with the hero killer's immense speed. Additionally, his ability to wield a knife pales in comparison to the opponent in front of him. He doubts his Campos would make a good enough shield in this scenario. Distance would be a must here. Problem is, he can't really move away with the UA student on the ground next to him, lest he sacrifices the boy. Inwardly, he berates himself for not choosing another means of attack. He should have warped the injured hero closer, or done another surprise attack like the one at the bar, not gone head-to-head with the skilled fanatic. His grip tightens around the knife. It is a good thing he's no stranger to fear. Perhaps, if he's lucky, the adrenaline boost will let him survive the fight. The hero killer's lips stretch unnaturally wide. He gulped. Big if there. You've got guts, kid. I'll give you that, Stain says in an offhand tone, eyes never straying from his target on the ground. Kuro backed up, the side of his foot hitting against the prone form of Stain's latest victim. He casts a quick glance downwards. Dark blue hair and square features are all he registers, not willing to keep his gaze off Stain for longer than a second. The young hero's voice strains. You need to run. I'm useless. I can't move my body. He cut me. I think it's his quirk. Which means they have an unknown period of time before the UA student can move again. Let me guess, Stain drawls, switching the sword and dagger in his hands. Shigaraki sent you. I figured as much. The hero killer's haunting smile shifts into a ghastly sneer. His manic eyes speak of growing bloodlust at Kuro stepping in between him and the boy on the floor. The body on the ground tenses. Shigaraki, you're with the League? The warper freezes. Now, isn't that a loaded question? Of all the times he wishes he could talk, now would be somewhere in the top 3 at least. Kuro scratches his head, shoulders shrugging along the way because it isn't like he could say anything right now. Knife still at the ready in case Stain decides to strike, a likelihood that is growing by the minute now. He frantically searches for his cell phone. He discovers it in his right pocket, to his great relief. Using his notebook and pen to communicate would put him at an even greater disadvantage. Stain dodges every warp Kuro makes, continuing toward them like a predator in the middle of a hunt, running his blades together in an act of what Kuro perceives as intimidating. Sparks fly, highlighting the manic expression on the killer's face. As much as Kuro hates to admit it, the hero killer's tactics certainly worked. The villain tilts his head to the side, loudly remarking, "Run, little shadow. Go back to your master. Don't want to get involved if you know what's good for you." There's a promise of death in the murderer's gaze that gives the warper a full-body shudder. It reminds him of Shigaraki, albeit much more insane. Kuro shifts his blade to the side. His emotions scream at him to run, but his mind keeps his body in place, refusing to give Stain an inch. He doesn't look down as he thumbs through the video playlist for some sort of response. Come on, come on. The injured boy insists angrily. He's right. This has nothing to do with you. Get away, Deku. You useless idiot. This has nothing to do with you. Kuro blinks. Memories are power motivators. As someone just beginning to remember his past life in bits and pieces, Kuro knows this fact quite well. The boy's words echo in his mind, tearing apart the scene in front of him. A static noise overtakes his hearing, silencing the sounds of the alleyway and leaving him back to an all-too-familiar place. Kaken's face splattered with blood, Izuku's final words leaving cooling lips, the faint whispers of the crowds all of a sudden, a new fragment attached to the rest, like a puzzle piece into the right slot. A familiar set of blue eyes and faint words of remorse merging into the fractured mindscape. "I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have been faster, I should have." "It is fine now," says the voice in Kuro's phone, breaking him out of his remembrance. His shoulders square off. He has heard the words 1,000 times and still isn't tired of it. Why? Because I am here. All Might's video cuts off soon after. Kuro pockets the phone. Not that it matters. The message is loud and clear. A fevered look passes across Stain's face. He chortles, "How sweet." His eyes travel downward to his prey. "Your friend came to save you." "He's not my friend," the blue-haired boy snaps. "Perhaps not, but it's poetic, is it not?" Stain's dark chuckle leaves Kuro in unease. A villainous hero and a heroic villain. Stain swings his longer blade in a large arc, a warning shot of sorts. Kuro resists the urge to flinch, not moving from his spot. Stain's agility and surprise attacks make him deadly. Leaving would only put the hero student in danger, and Kuro couldn't risk that. The hero killer shifts his head from side to side, shoulder rolling like a cat's. Though Kuro is no mouse, he knows Stain is growing restless of Kuro's resistance. His next words are unsurprising. "Not going to move? I won't hesitate, you know." He licks his lips. "If we clash, the weaker shall be culled, Shigaraki's minion or not. You won't stop me from achieving my mission." Kuro barely has time to block Stain's attack. The weight of the man's sword came upon him in a flash, leaning heavily into the small blade Shigaraki gave him. A flare of anger hits him. Of all the weapons Shigaraki could give, why did it have to be a knife? They have guns. They have bombs. Is Shigaraki trying to get him killed? Stain shoots a hand out, grasping Kuro's wrist and twisting it. The teen grunts, avoiding the jagged edges of Stain's weapon, but losing his own in the process. He can hear the knife skidding across the alley floor, too far away for him to reach without leaving the hero vulnerable. He needs to think, which is easier said than done in the face of death. Kuro knows his fighting abilities are lackluster in comparison to his opponents, and fighting with a knife isn't as easy as the movies make it sound. If only he had a... Oh, his eyes blow wide. Oh. He might not be able to defeat Stain one-on-one, but he sure as hell can buy them some time. As the remaining warps disappear around them, Kuro reaches inside himself, pulling together as much energy as he could muster. Coldness spreads through his limbs. The pressure begins to build. Stain sheaths the dagger, then raises the katana above his head for the kill. His wide lips stretch ever wider, giving the man a truly demonic face. "Now," he whispers, too close for Kuro's comfort. "What will you do without your master? Run and flee or stay and fight?" Kuro keeps his gaze steady. The pull inside his chest grows stronger. From the other side of the alley, the man in the Native American regalia groans. "You need to run away." Stain's eyes narrow, lips tugging downward. His patience for Kuro's heroics seems to only go so far. No answer? I see. If he were Kakin, he would yell bravely, screaming a few obscenities perhaps to add some flavor. Oh, and maybe an explosion or some sparking from his hands. If he were Shigaraki, he would probably have an entire villainous monologue prepared. Well, no, probably not. Kuro thinks as the blades flash against each other on their way down. Shigaraki likes to goad, but not like Stain does. He thinks back to how his mentor would react in a situation like this. The older warper is calm, collected during even the worst of situations. He envies Kurogiri's ability to ground people. Even though he is made of mist, he is a solid force. The pull is painfully tight now, like a shirt that's 3 times too small. There are a lot of things Kuro wishes he could say or do right now. There's no pause in the man's movements. He strikes downward. Kuro releases the gate, and the world explodes. Stain's blade passes through the veil of mist, scratching against the brick wall across from them as the mist grows. There is no word in the human language to truly explain the sensation. His quirk isn't up to Kurogiri's mastery yet, but he's watched the man countless times. Warpgate isn't just his hands, it's his entirety. He is Warpgate. The alley seems small as he spreads himself. Stain tries to cut through him, but the blade merely passes through him. The inky void is not something a sword can destroy. If he weren't so light-headed, Kuro would feel quite proud of himself. Stain retreats several meters, eyes wide as he takes in the black hole he's become. Though most of his body remains the same, his head and arms are spread across the area like a dark fog, a protective warp barrier of sorts. You're like that villain from USJ, the teen hero accuses. His expression is the picture of anger, though not at him. Even now his eyes remain locked on the hero killer. You're welcome, the young warper thinks dryly. Inwardly, he lets out a small sigh of relief. Even if his action only bought them a few seconds or minutes, it is better than nothing. His heart flutters at how much he's improved. As a boy, he always wanted a quirk, and while this wasn't the one he ever pictured himself with, he still loves the potential applications it has. He wonders what kinds of components make up the quirk. If he and Kurogiri were Nomu, did that mean that the quirk came from someone else, or was a composite of multiple quirks altogether? Sadly, his obsessive thinking costs him. Though he never loses sight of the hero killer, he forgets one important detail. The screech of metal is his only warning as agony erupts in his side. He looks down as blood blossoms from his waistcoat. Oh, yes, Stain has smaller blades. The same ones he used on Kurogiri at the bar, he realizes. As blood began to rush from his head, he couldn't help but feel a tad offended that the hero killer ruined his outfit. This was brand new. His teacher is going to kill him. Alarm floods his mind as the world around him begins to shrink. Shoot. He's losing control. The hero killer throws more knives. Kuro warps the first ones, but a couple nick his sides. In doing so, he's lost his grip on the expansion, his body snapping back into shape with a sharp pain and heavy roll of nausea. His breathing labors as Stain casually strolls closer, appraising him in a way that makes the boy's blood run cold. He refuses to lower his head, even as his legs shake with the strain of standing. Not bad, he remarks, eyes wide and way too pleased for Kuro's liking. Not bad at all. I wasn't expecting you to try and cover my entire field of vision. You're actually putting your life down for the people that hate you. Kuro refuses to cower. He will not in front of this monster. People who are all talk like your boss are a dime a dozen. But you might be worth keeping around. He picks up Kuro's knife from the ground, tossing it upwards before catching it in midair. Or perhaps I'll just kill you. He sends a look of disgust at the fallen hero at Kuro's side. Still, it might be a waste. You're different from him and those so-called heroes. Neither a hero nor a villain. A strange light reflects in the killer's gaze. In a way, you're like me, and I respect that. Now what say you, boy? He flinches as Stain's blade comes within centimeters of his face. Kuro swallows the bile in his throat, not willing to look any weaker in front of this murderer. If only he could do better. Be better. But he couldn't. Despair grips his core. Why oh why is he such a Deku? Even with a quirk he is useless. His hands form fists. He still has enough energy to fight. It's already been a few minutes. By any luck, whatever more time Kuro can provide for the heroes should be enough for them to get out of the paralysis and run. It's only by luck that he hears it. His head raises to the sky. Sweet merciful Lady Luck. Air fills his lungs as the old words return to his lips. The collar around his neck burns. He pushes through the pain. Through rusty vocal cords he calls, Ka. Stain leans in, too close for comfort. What was that? Kakin. Stain's features scrunch up. He clearly wasn't expecting that. Who? Me, motherfucker. Is the hero killer's only warning as the trash cans explode behind them. The person in question jumps from the rooftop like a demented devil, features twisted into a frightening snarl as he plants an explosive fist into Stain's face. Kuro has never felt more terrified and awed. Plus ultra, he mentally whispers, his hope renewed. Comic commissioned by the lovely Fruit Lupchen. Of all the times to get caught up in a fight, why is it that he always finds the nerd involved in some sort of trouble? And not a moment too soon, either going by the amount of injured people. Bakuga scoffs. Honestly, he couldn't have made a better entrance, the teen inwardly notes, cracking his neck left and right. Be careful, that's the hero killer, a robotic voice states. It takes him a second to see where it's coming from. His gaze settles on Izuku, taking note of the torn suit and blood. Bakugo throws the infamous murderer a quick once-over, unimpressed by the weirdo's getup. The fuck is he supposed to be, a half-price ninja? Creepiest thing about him was his long-ass mouth and lack of a nose. Nope. Wait. Never mind, he thinks, as the fucker's tongue rolls out, licking the blood from his bleeding cheek. Long-ass tongue is definitely grosser. I see. The hero killer drawls, eyes piercing his with a promise of death. You brought in reinforcements. In response, Bakugo flexes his arms, hands popping as his annoyance rises. Sweat clings to his face and arms like a second skin. Damn nerd had him running all across the city looking for his shitty ass. Well, at least he can channel his anger into someone. He steps between his old friend and the villain. Oh yeah, and Four Eyes. Wait. He pauses mid-step, gaze sharply turning over to his class president. The fuck? Bakugo? What are you doing here? Glasses yells. He points angrily at the boy next to him. Following that bastard. Boy, Glasses, the fuck are you doing here? Kakin. Izuku chides, glowing eyes narrowing. You know each other? Damn straight, he answers gruffly. A dark look passes over Four Eyes' face. It's honestly the most fury Bakugo has ever seen the dude look. You should stay out of this, he hisses. Oh hell no. Mr. School Guidelines has no right to tell him what he can and cannot do. The muscles in his face strain as he growls, shut up. We're fucking heroes, aren't we? Can you even get up? He scans the narrow alley, noting the extra laying against the wall. What about you, shitty costume dude? The man, some no-name pro, Bakuga guesses, coughs. Thanks, kid. But no, I can't. His gaze sharpens as the villain gets up from the ground. Keep your distance. His quirk paralyzes. He's the hero killer's stain. Izuku types, the text to voice loud and clear. His fingers move like lightning across the keyboard. He is able to paralyze people by tasting a sample of their blood. There's a time limit to the quirk. According to media sources, its power wanes after a few minutes, but it varies from person to person. I speculate it has to do with either their age or something in the blood itself. His speed and skill with swords make him dangerous. Kakin. Good enough. All Bakugo needs to do is just blast the fucker enough times to take him out then. He rolls his shoulders. Should be easy. For someone who doesn't talk, you sure say a lot. A new voice casually remarks. I called emergency services on the way. The heroes will be here soon. Aw shit. Not him. Please no, not him. Bakugo groans as Icy Hot slides into the alley on an ice ramp, coming from the same direction he did. Of course daddy issues would follow him. He should have known. Peppermint Bastard and the nerd give each other a short appraisal before nodding. Bakugo's brows cross in confusion before he remembers that they meet during the sports festival. If Four Eyes were wearing his glasses, they would probably be broken by now with all the glaring he's doing. You came too, Todoroki? He says in reprimand. None of you should be here. All three teens soundly ignore the fourth. Instead, their attention is drawn to the recovered stain. The bastard readjusts his grip on the sword and long dagger, watching the group with a look of angry contemplation. There have been too many interruptions tonight. This has gone on long enough. Bakuga spits out a curse. Shit. Should have taken him down sooner. Looks like he needed to pummel the bastard a few more times. The blonde pops his knuckles, a smirk spreading across his lips. Bring it on, Bakuga bites back. He's trained for this. A real villain fight, not like with the goons at USJ. Working with Gran Torino has improved his control. It's time he put those skills to work. The crackling in his hands turns to a roar as he rockets towards the villain, one arm boosting him while the other is poised for a punch. He doesn't look back, even as Izuku calls out, "Kaken!" Wait, Bakugu. Todoroki's words fall to deaf ears. He's in the zone. Nothing can stop him now. Stain strikes, but Bakugu is faster. He flips in midair over the villain, sweat gathering in his palm as he shoots a blast. Stain dodges and twists, taking a running jump for the wall, getting closer to the others. Oh hell no. Bakugu follows in pursuit. He pumps his arm back, ready to make a finishing move right between the asshole's smug eyes. He realizes too late that it's a trap. Stain ducks under him as he fires, katana jutting up with a hard push into his gauntlet, slicing through metal and flesh. Bakugo bites off a scream as the villain yanks it out. A foolish decision, boy. The villain jeers, long tongue slithering out towards the blood-soaked sword. Heart beating wildly, he leaps away to regroup, only to discover the effects of Stain's quirk. His body seizes, numbness filling his body. Kaken! Stain throws a blade toward him, but it never reaches. A black fog envelopes his body. He grunts as the warp deposits the teen on the ground next to Ida, the pain of his arm only matched by his humiliation at falling for such a stupid trick. Though his hope is diminished some, Kuro assesses the situation with greater positivity than earlier. He and Todoroki are still in the game. The pro hero nearby is too injured to fight. He has no idea how bad Kaken or his classmates' injuries are, but knowing the former, he wouldn't be down for long, especially with the amount of expletives he keeps exuding. Fuck, Bakuga hisses, stabbing pain running up and down his right arm. Can't move. Todoroki gives the fallen hero an unimpressed look. That was reckless, Bakugu. Deku. Oi, don't call him that. The blonde teen snarls. Kaken. Kuro lowers his gaze to his old childhood friend. He's not entirely sure what to make of the boy's statement. He pushes down the intense emotions that came with the old moniker. Now is not the time. He breathes through his nose, focusing on his quirk as Stain throws another knife their way. Quickly, he transports the weapon to the opposite end of the alleyway, too cautious to warp it any farther. Conservation of energy is key right now. Ugh, shit. Okay, let's get this over with. Kaken grumbles as he officially introduces the warper to his classmates. Izuku, that crazy fucker over there is Glasses, our class president. Everyone, this is Izuku Midoriya. He flicks an annoyed glare up at the last teen. You already know I see hot. My name is Ida. Hello, Midoriya. It's nice to see you again, circumstances aside. Todoroki takes a stance next to the shorter boy. While Kuro doesn't voice it, nor can he, hearing his real name again brings a smile to his lips. Todoroki stomps on the ground, ice shooting off from his foot and expanding outwards, lifting the fallen pro hero and their classmates off the ground in a tilted angle. They glide down, landing behind the two remaining fighters. Everyone keep your distance. His attacks are short-ranged, Kuro types. So long as we keep him away, we should be all right. Then we just need to hold him off until the pros get here, Todoroki replies, throwing a blast of frost towards Stain. Kuro's eyes widen. Watch out. The hero killer is faster than Todoroki's ice, sliding underneath it, then running up the wall. Along the way, his hand moves in quick succession, giving Kuro little time to react. He warps the first three, but the fourth cuts across Todoroki's cheek, surprising both teens. Stain tries to dive for the bloodied blade. Kuro stretches his arm out and captures Stain's prize before he can get any closer. The villain growls. You shouldn't let your guard down, he writes off quickly. There's more he wants to add, but Stain continues his attacks, relentless in his pursuit for blood. Todoroki creates a frost shield, pushing Stain backward. Eyes blown wide, he rubs the blood away with his other hand. That was close. He's strong. Ida interrupts. Why are all of you here? The teen's body tightens, his lips pulled back as he clenches his teeth. This is my fight, not yours. He hurt my brother. The same thirst for death he saw in Stain's eyes reflected back in Ida's as he growls. He's mine. Kuro isn't sure how to answer the boy. While he certainly sympathizes, the other teen's desire for revenge leaves him conflicted. It reminds him too much of Shigaraki's desire for destruction. I swear if the hero killer doesn't kill you, I will. Kaken groans, body twitching as he tries to roll over. Get over yourself. You think Ingenium wants you doing this? You think he'd be proud of you right now? Todoroki shoots another blast of ice at Stain before adding, but Kugu's right, surprisingly. Oi. Ida goes silent. While he doesn't voice it, not that he actually can, the Warper feels a wave of relief at Kaken's comment. He hopes the boy's words get through to his classmate. They didn't have much longer to stall as Stain slices through the ice with a heavy swing. Kuro tries to dodge, but the man hits him in the gut with the butt of his sword before making a swipe for Todoroki. The boy thinks fast, thankfully. Icing up the side, Stain tries to cut with his dagger, then pushing him back with a rush of sharp ice. Kuro notes the paleness of his ally's face with a frown. Why isn't he using his fire? Blocking your own view of an opponent that is faster than you is bad form. Boy, Stain taunts. You're merely stalling your death. Bakugo asks before the Warper can. Icy hot, you gonna use your flames today, or what's out again? I don't need my flames to fight, Todoroki retorts, face twisting into a pained expression. While no expert at reading people, Kuro knows that whatever his issues with his fire power lies in his hatred of his father. He walks toward the boy, reaching out to grasp his shoulder. Now or never. Todoroki turns his head, though his eyes still trained on Stain. Midoriya? He types out the words in quick succession. Your quirk is yours. How are you going to become a hero if you only use half your power? Everyone here is fighting their hardest, Todoroki. Are you? Stain breaks through the glacial barrier, sword aimed at Todoroki's head. You think you can keep me back forever? Midoriya. Kuro leaps, pushing Stain back, even as his blade screeches against the metal of his collar. His shoulder screams as blood streams down from the area he couldn't protect with his quirk. Stain pulls the blade back, tongue inching closer to the red-soaked metal. A heat presses against his back. Kuro instinctively drops to his knees. Stain barely pulls away in time to avoid the torrent of flames that heads his way, licking the fabric of his scarf. Kuro turns back, rising to his feet once more. Though his lips may not show it, a grin stretches across his face as flames rise from Todoroki's left side. Kaken puts it best as he exclaims, "Fucking finally." I don't have as much control as with my ice, Todoroki states, casting a blast of fire towards Stain. That won't be an issue against you, however. The smell of burnt hair and trash permeate the vicinity, but Stain continues to dodge them, bouncing from wall to wall as he builds up speed for another attack. Kuro shifts back to the center of the group, holding his wound as he tries to stem the bleeding. He types out his hypothesis with his other hand. He keeps a person's blood to keep them from moving, but there's a time limit. According to my calculations, one of them should be up already, unless... Todoroki squints. Unless what? Unless there's another factor involved. I have 3 possible theories. One is that his quirk is less effective the more people are involved, but he used it on Kurogiri and Shigaraki recovered before Kurogiri, even though he was attacked first, while everyone here is still paralyzed. Another theory is the amount ingested, however. With the amount he takes in, I don't think that's the issue either. The most obvious reason would be more blades shoot out from the darkness. 2 embed themselves into Todoroki's left side. The flames flicker and die off. Kaken's head jerks back, eyes alight with frustration. Fucking hell, give us the short version. Midoriya, get back. Todoroki yells as Stain makes a comeback. Blood type. Smart boy. Stain compliments as he spins away from Todoroki's next attack. The grin on his face spreads. Kuro hates that he knows why. Todoroki is weakening. I was hoping we could carry the others out of here before the pros arrived, but he's too fast, Todoroki says, face pale as a sheet. Kuro isn't much better. They've been playing defense for too long. I can't stop him with fire or ice. Hell, I'm not sure how long I can keep him away. You're bleeding a lot. How long can you keep this up? Kuro asks. Todoroki frowns. Why are you asking? His mind runs through a variety of scenarios. It should be almost be time for Ida or Kaken to recover. He can tell Stain has a grasp on their fighting style now, which is making him bold. They needed to mix it up. Cover me, he texts, sliding the phone in his pocket. He rolls up his sleeves and unbuttons part of his shirt, tossing the tie to the side. He gathers what is left of his energy. The tug in his chest strengthens once more. He won't be able to pull off his earlier move, but Stain doesn't know that. That's pretty risky. What if he cuts you? Todoroki calls out as Kuro steps away from the group. You fucking idiot. Kaken's discouragement did little to stop him. Wisps of fog float off his body. Kuro charges forward. Stain meets him halfway, blade at the ready. Kuro isn't without his own weapon, however. The air around them grows wavy as portals appear. The villain dodges, moving around to evade stepping the multiple warps Kuro is creating. These aren't like the ones before, however. The teen pushes himself to open more and more, ignoring the growing headache as he reaches his limits. The villain tries to get closer, but Kuro ducks into a gate, each time moving in a different direction to keep Stain on his toes. In the flurry of movements, Kuro shifts and spreads his portals even more. When Stain backs into a group of them, Kuro shoves a fist through the nearest, hitting Stain right in the jaw. The man slices through the misty hand. Though it burns, the warper quickly reforms it, the pain depleting along with his energy levels. He wishes he could do that with his chest and neck, but, like Kurogiri, that part of him remains a weakness, one he knows Stain can easily exploit. And exploit it he does. Stain moves faster than he can form his warps soon enough. When Kuro jumps through the next portal, Stain is waiting. A heavy kick sends him sprawling to the floor. He coughs as the hero killer brings him close. His breath is ragged as cold metal meets the base of his neck, knocking against the collar he hates so much. Stain's expression is thunderous, eyes dark with the same crazed hunger he saw at the bar. The knife pokes into the dip of his neck. I see so much heroic desire and conviction in you, little shadow. It makes me wonder how you got involved with the League in the first place. His eyes flicker to the metal collar. Not that it matters, I suppose. I have plans, and you all are getting in my way. I will grant you a swift death for your courage. The blade cut deeper. A cold chill ran down his back. He clenches his teeth. Is this it? Is this how he's going to die? Hot tears escape his eyes. No, not yet. All his life he's been useless. He hates how weak he is. Even with the power of Warpgate, he's not nearly as good of a fighter as Bakugo or Todoroki. But that doesn't mean he cannot provide a distraction. Even if he dies, all he needs is to buy them another minute or two for someone to recover or the pros to arrive. Before the blade can cut any deeper, he grabs the knife's edge with one hand, ignoring the pain while his other fights to hold onto Stain's arm. It doesn't remove it, but he refuses to let it go any deeper or be pulled away. It's only a small distraction, yet it's all he needs. The air shifts. A moment later, and Stain is blasted, hitting the wall with a hard thump before he gets back on his feet. Kaken. His old friend isn't going to let the man go that easily, however. He pursues the villain, uninjured hand sending another series of explosions towards Stain. Die, die, die. Kuro scrambles to his feet. The sight of Bakugo on his feet means the timer has run out. Ida half runs, half limbs to the others. Despite his wounds, he yells, Bakugo, Todoroki, Midoriya, I don't know what to say this. Shut up and die, idiot, is Bakugo's answer. Your murderous nature is unbefitting of a hero. Stain twists his blade up and around, trying to get the upper hand over his old friend. There's a feverish rage in his expression, teeth blared as the blonde hero doesn't let up in his mid-range blasts. Bakugo has gotten much better at fighting since their middle school days, Kuro thinks. When Stain tries to strike forward with his dagger, the blonde blasts off the ground and flips behind the man. Before the villain can counter, Kaken plants a solid hit to the hero killer's elbow with his gauntlet, knocking the blade from his grip. A well-aimed explosion kicks the weapon straight over the alleyway's rooftops. Stain growls. He places both hands on the katana, no longer in the offensive position. Hope renews in the Warper's chest. When Todoroki sends another glacial attack through the alleyway, Kuro portals Kaken and himself behind Todoroki. Kaken startles at the sudden movement, but he doesn't push the other away. A good sign. Kaken, he addresses, eyes filled with determination. The taller boy catches on, lips pulling into a smirk. You got a plan, nerd? He gestures to the boy, then raises one hand to sky, gesturing his fingers like an explosion before bringing it down on his other palm. With the amount of warps Kuro can do down to the single digits, he has to make this attack count. Stain is weakening, but not fast enough. He could still take one of them out. They needed to make this attack their last. His old friend grins. Stain goes for Todoroki once more, throwing two folding blades. One only scratches the teen, but the other sinks into his leg. He collapses to one knee as Stain nears, the villain shouting, "Didn't anyone ever tell you not to over-rely on your quirk?" A blur stops the man in his tracks, breaking the blade of the sword and knocking it from his hand. Recipro burst. Ida's kick throws Stain back by several meters. His landing is rough, but still, the killer continues to stand tall. The sway of his body belies the truth, however. Stain is running on pure adrenaline now, as are they all. Stain makes a running leap for the top of the garbage bin, glaring down at the group with vitriol hatred, especially towards Ida. Playing at reforming yourself is merely performative platitudes, he mocks, venom in his words. False heroes are the reason our society has become so twisted. Even now I can see your selfish desires behind that veneer of fake heroism. You want to kill me. Ida thrusts his hand outward to the other three. That might be true about me, but these guys are the real deal. The hero killer barks a laugh, red eyes reflecting off the streetlights in an eerie fashion. He pops his shoulders. Even without his swords, he is a terrifying force. Kuro zeroes in where Stain is looking, a glint in his eye as his idea gains more traction. Just as he expected, the hero killer is out of knives. The blood-soaked blade Ida knocked away is his best bet right now. Kuro lifts his head higher as the villain began to make his move. If Stain gets another hand on it, any one of them could be hurt, or worse, killed. He opens a gate, right as Stain is upon the item. Charging in, he grasps the sword before Stain. His breathing grows choppy as he runs in the opposite direction, away from the group. Nausea rises in his stomach as his control wanes. 3 more gates left at most. Any more, and he could risk quirk exhaustion. Determination steadies his heart. This has to work. Midoriya. Stain follows after him as he expected. His footfalls edge closer and closer, echoing through Kuro's ears. You can't keep this up. Even now I can see your mistakes. You left your trump card in the open. Once he's put enough distance between them and the others, he turns around, sword at the ready. Stain stops immediately, lest he gets run through by the teen's borrowed blade. It's exactly where the Warper wants him. The portal below the hero killer opens instantaneously, faster than any time he's done it before. Red eyes gleam from amidst the shadows. The smell of nitroglycerin fills the air. Who said he was the trump card? Kaken jeers, pulling the trigger on his injured arm. Howitzer impact. The blast blows Kuro back as Stain goes flying. He's not done yet, however. He tears open another gate in the sky for Kaken to hit the man with a second explosion. Stain crash lands onto a dumpster, denting the exterior. For several moments the group watches in anticipation. The hero killer stays down. Kuro collapses to his knees. Tears cloud his vision as relief floods through him. They did it. Chapter 7. The shadows cast by the streetlights seem less terrifying now. That could be the blood loss talking, though, Kuro inwardly muses. To say he is relieved would be an understatement. After he collapsed to his knees at the defeat of Stain, the teen spent several seconds processing what happened. Once finished, Kuro refocuses on the scene in front of him. He counts the heads, relaxing moments later when he discovers all of them are still alive. His shoulders slump forward. What a night. He feels muscles he didn't even know he had screamed at him for all the moves he pulled. Naively, he thought he'd become more athletic from all the combined training he did under his teacher and Shigaraki. Not enough, apparently. He can't stay on the ground forever, however. His legs wobble as he gets to his feet, arms hanging off his body like wet noodles. He flexes his fingers, opening and closing his hands as he waits for feeling to return to them once more. It was pure dumb luck Stain didn't get the chance to ingest his blood. He gently brushes off the dirt from his pants. As the adrenaline leaves his system, the pain in his abdomen throbs rhythmically, spreading out to the rest of his injuries. A cursory glance below tells him there's more than one stab wound, much to his dismay. The outfit would need to be replaced. He winces when he finds a particularly nasty cut along his side, courtesy of Stain's blade. Not life-threatening, he thinks, but he'll still need to see Dr. Izuku for stitches. A shudder runs down his spine as an image of the man flashes through his mind. The hero students don't look much better. He notices the pro is back up on his feet though, so that's good. Though his costume is a bit outlandish, he seems nice enough. Still, Kuro can't up but tense up when the man approaches. He knew he would be arrested, only to blink owlishly as the hero gives the teen a soft pat on the shoulder. You good enough to walk? Need me to carry you or something? He offers. Kuro hesitates, then shakes his head in refusal. His brows knit into a confused frown as the pro checks on the others. Shouldn't he be tying Kuro up? Stain confirmed his villainous background during the fight after all. He taps a forefinger against his chin in contemplation. Maybe, since he helped out against Stain, he's earned the others' trust? He shifts his head from side to side as he reviews the night's events. Yes, that makes sense. The hero is giving him a chance, or doesn't see Kuro as a threat. At least there's some silver lining in this horrible situation, right? It doesn't take long before Ida limps over to the hero killer, though he keeps his distance. The rage in his face has faded some, but the tightness of his features stays. There is little love for the vigilante, it seems. Kuro can empathize. In a low voice, Ida asks aloud, "Is Stain dead?" After a careful examination by the professional hero, the man answers, "No, just passed out." I see. There is a flicker of emotion across the boy's eyes. He swallows, jaw squaring as he schools his face. We won then. Is everyone okay? Do we fucking look okay, Four Eyes? Kaken growls. Kuro jolts in place. Ah, that's right. Kaken. He forgot to check on him too. His hands twitch erratically, uncertain of what to do. Finally, after much deliberation, he scrambles over to the Kaken's side to access his wounds. Out of the group, he's second only to Ida on the injured scale. Stain didn't go easy on him. Well, he didn't go easy on any of them, but that's beside the point. Kaken would need to be hospitalized. He hides a grimace when he catches sight of the arm Stain stabbed. A loud bang draws his attention to the side. Todoroki picks up the fallen object, the broken blade catching light across the tip. Someone should tie him up. Remove his weapons as well, Todoroki suggests. Ida is on it before anyone else can start, digging around in the trash for whatever he can find. Kuro leaves him to it. He might not know much about the boy, but it's obvious that he's trying to make up for something. Kuro can empathize. He owes Kurogiri more than the man will ever know. Kuro stills. Kurogiri, Shigaraki, the mission, he inwardly kicks himself. His throat grows thick as he swallows back the anxious guilt sprouting inside him. The Shigaraki's knife is somewhere in the alley. He notes Ida's growing collection of Stain's weapons. It's quite likely he'll find it for him. But what are you doing to do with it? The voice inside his conscience asks. What are you willing to risk to complete the mission? What will Shigaraki do if you fail? Kuro steers his focus to the hero killer's fallen form. Could he pretend to kill Stain somehow? Would Shigaraki buy that? He doesn't get another thought in before a thud to the back of his head startles him back to reality. Izuku, you coming with me this time, or am I going to have to drag you? Kaken, he admonishes, rubbing the area. The other teen scrunches up his nose as he gives the other a long, unreadable look Kuro recognized all too well from their shared childhood. It wasn't the level of anger he was used to, more of an "I'm so done with this shit" one. I'm gonna take that as a yes, nerd. We need to find the other pros. Preferably before Stain wakes up, the tallest teen states. Just as Kuro finishes looking over Kaken's injuries, Ida places the last of the knives into the pile, soon enough assorting them by size and type. Kuro would almost be impressed if he wasn't so anxious. His eyes latch onto the all-too-familiar blade. Yeah, don't think that's happening anytime soon, Kaken grumbles. His fingers flex and curl as he mentally assesses his options. Endeavor should be nearby, Todoroki adds, turning on his heel. I'll scout ahead. No, the pro says suddenly, startling the group. Everyone needs to stay together. All of us have suffered some pretty serious injuries. We have no idea what's going on out there. The man pauses before releasing a deep sigh. It would kill me if any of you children got hurt. Kaken is on his feet before Kuro can stop him. We already are hurt, dumbass. Native is right. We should stick together, Ida affirms before scolding Kaken for insulting the hero. Kaken scoffs, rolling his shoulders as he goes to pick up what remains of his gauntlets. Kuro lurches forward, hoping to stop the other boy from aggravating his injuries, but the painful throb in his side stops him in his tracks. He hisses, gaining the attention of Todoroki. Kuro stiffens under the taller boy's gaze. The other bends his head slightly forward as he looks the boy up and down. He notes Todoroki's set mouth, the only emotion in his face driven by the intensity of his eyes. Midoriya, he addresses. You look terrible. You're bleeding a lot. He glances downwards, slightly affronted by Todoroki's bluntness. He didn't look that bad, did he? Well, the lack of sleeves and torn collar didn't make for a put-together appearance, he supposes. All right, maybe the other has a point. He smooths down the remains of his waistcoat, pulling out his phone to text, I'm okay. Truthfully, he isn't, but he didn't want to worry Todoroki. The words didn't seem to reach the other, however. His mouth dips into a deep frown, face marred by self-loathing. If only I had been stronger. His head twists away. Damn it. You did great, Todoroki, he types. That, at least, is the truth. The boy's use of both sides was amazing to watch in person. He only wishes the other teen felt the same way. But my ice, he scowls, turning once more to face him as he answers in frustration. I had to rely on his fire. Again, and even that wasn't good enough. His gaze turns upward as if searching for something before settling on Kuro. All I could do was hold him off. Then get stronger, dipshit. KK Kaken. Kuro resists the urge to flinch when Kaken appears from behind him. He knows the other won't hurt him, not like he did before, because Kaken isn't the same person he remembers from childhood. Still, there's a part of him that whispers, what if it's all an act? He shakes his head, trying to rid himself of those thoughts. Now is not the time to worry about that, not when people's lives were at stake. Todoroki blinks slowly. Excuse me. He's right, he texts, hastily adding. Not about the dipshit part, though? You're not a dipshit. Sorry, how do I say this? He pauses, thinking over the next words to write. He doesn't know everything about Todoroki's situation, but he thinks he understands the gist of it. I know it's hard to think of your quirk as yours when you inherited it from someone else, but at the end of the day, it's not him who is using it. It's you. He stresses the last part, left arm gesturing wildly as he went over the other's power with his right, thumb moving at light speed in spite of the pain in his arms. And you were amazing. You saved us with your ice and fire. The fire has so many offensive applications. As an extension of your body, you could do flaming kicks and punches, or even light criminals' weapons on fire to prevent them from hurting others. And when you combine the two abilities, you have an infinite amount of hydrogen, which would be perfect for emergency situations where people need clean water. Noting the two boys' dazed faces, he hastily returns to the earlier subject. Your power is uniquely yours. I wouldn't have been able to hold back Stain alone. Then, his phone beeps, an empty battery sign flashing across the screen. He frantically tries to exit out of applications to try and conserve at least a few minutes more of battery time, but the screen blackens not seconds after the fact. Oh, now isn't this just wonderful? He thinks dryly. What's next? Rain. Reaching for his notebook, his eyes widen when he discovers it's no longer tucked into the back of his shirt. A frantic search around his person solidifies his fears. He lost it. Just wonderful. Kuro's shoulders sag as a sigh slips from his mouth. There goes him trying to communicate with others. I think your phone is dead, Todoroki states plainly. No duh, Kaken says. Oi, anyone got a working phone? Mine was broken when Stain hit me, Native replies remorsefully. I too am without a proper means of communication. Ida answers in a guilty tone, cheeks pink at his lack of planning. He quickly recomposes himself, expression brightening as if a light went off in his head. Turning back to the alleyway, he half walks, half limps to a particular area, returning with an object in his hands. Midoriya, I believe this is yours. I remember seeing it during the fight. Would you care to use it? Yes, yes, yes. His heart sings merrily. Kuro can't help the relief from covering his face, eyes lighting up as he takes the journal. A certain seriousness overtakes the other's brow. Rubbing his arm, he casts his gaze downward. I just wanted to say thank you. All of you. I lost myself in my vengeance for my brother. So much so that I forgot what it meant to be a hero. He takes a deep breath, eyes rising to meet the others. I made so many mistakes and nearly got all of you killed. Wetness prickles his eyes. I still hate him. I can't forgive him. I still want to hurt him, but that I hope you can forgive me. In a soft voice, he adds, I hope Tensei does too. I do, and I'm sure he will. Kuro writes, placing a hand on the other's shoulder. It's nice. He doesn't know any of them except Kaken, but meeting these young heroes gives him a renewed motivation. He had been so afraid of being treated badly, of people not believing or trusting him on account of his background. He wouldn't blame them, of course. He did work for the League, but it feels good to actually do good. His throat grows dry as Shigaraki's words weigh even heavier on his mind. They separate not long after, leaving him to the war within his mind. Ida speaks first. Now that that's settled, we should get moving. As Native and Todoroki discuss who should drag the hero killer's body, Kuro assists Ida with Stain's weapons, packing them up inside a dirty blanket. Ida is none the wiser to what he does, thanking him for his help. Kuro nods while the guilt-ridden hole in his stomach grows bigger. It's for the best, he mentally tells himself. He's grateful when they start to move. It's a bit of a stumble at first, Native carrying the weapons while Todoroki drags the vigilante, but they make it work. Ida keeps to the front as the lookout, reporting what he sees as they go forward. Kuro keeps to the back. It's safe there, less conspicuous. Or at least, he thought it was. It isn't long before Kaken notices, falling behind from the front of the group to join at his side. An awkward silence ensues between them. Kuro opens and closes his mouth. Even though he can't seem to figure out how to say other words than his old friend's name, the questions bubble forth behind them, dying to get out. His fingers move as if they had a mind of their own, twirling the pen in his hand. Izuku would have said something by now, maybe commenting on how amazing Kaken's gauntlets are. Izuku would have asked how they worked, who made them, what he did to cause that giant explosion at the end, and everything else in between. Kuro, on the other hand, Kuro looks back at his old memories and wonders why the other boy cares so much in the first place. Middle school was hell. Even through the murkiest of his memories, he recalls how his childhood friend treated him. That's not to say Kuro hates him or anything. He's just unnerved. Why was he here now? Some sense of obligation? Kuro's eyes narrow, hand fisting around his pen. What kind of special move is Kaken? The other asks, breaking Kuro out of his reminiscence. He sighs, Kaken. Wait, is that all you can say? Did you figure that out just now? Todoroki asks. Shut it half and half. Ida looks like he wants to say something, but Native gestures him to continue scouting. As the pro-hero asks something of Todoroki, Kaken turns back to him once more, awaiting his response. Kuro grasps the bridge of his nose in exasperation before nodding, emphasizing the answer by tapping on his notebook. No other words would come out like that one did. Not yet anyway. He was working on it. Maybe. Okay, he hasn't really had the time to practice out new words yet, but the time would come. He hopes. Damn, Kaken states. That's stupid. He huffs. It isn't as if he asked for this. He would love to be able to speak again. If only he could get through this mental block. Don't antagonize him. Todoroki calls from ahead. Boy, what did I say? Fuck off, we're talking. Kaken. Kaken bumps against him, anger dressing his features. Shut up, Izuku. I got a lot of shit to say to you, but you keep running away. He pauses, biting his bottom lip as his eyes searched his own. Why do you keep running away? Kuro opens up his notebook, but his mind draws a blank. Gripping the pen, he shakes his head, unable to give the other a real answer. Not now, anyway. Your mom misses you, he continues. She thinks you're dead. I haven't told her yet. Mom, he writes, underlining the question mark. Yeah, nerd. Auntie Inko. Remember her? We have to tell your mom. She's been so broken without you. He can't even blink before the question summons a cascade of mental images. His heart swells with emotion as a green-haired woman appears in his mind's eye. Her laughter, her tears, the way she made his breakfast every morning, the warmth of her hands against his face as she comforted him. He can't. He bites back a sob, the sound coming out as a short grunt instead. Kuro silently shook as his reality changed. How can he protect both Kaken and his mom from the League? He can't handle this right now. Quickly, he pushes the onslaught of memories to the back of his mind. Why did this have to happen now of all places? I don't want her to see me like this, is what he scribbles on his journal, handwriting as shaky as he feels. He stares down at the hand holding his pen. Would she even accept him in this form? He subconsciously looks down at his hands, brows tightening at what he sees. He doesn't look like Izuku Midoriya anymore. He doesn't act like him, doesn't talk like him, doesn't live like him. That he bends forward, stomach tying itself into knots as he considers his situation. Would he ever get back to being him again? What happened to you? He looks him up and down. How the heck did you get a quirk? His shoulders rise as the group's attention focuses on him. He can feel Ida and Todoroki's backward glances. Even Native shifts his head to the side, interested peaked. Kuro releases a deep breath. This, at least, he can answer. I don't really know. Everything after my. He scratches out death in his notebook, replacing it with, everything after was a blur. The doctor did something to my body. Made me like this. I only started to remember who I was after seeing you. Is that how you ended up with the League? Kuro nods, journaling. It's complicated, but yes. He leans closer, whispering, is he related to a guy called All for One? Out of all the words to come out of Kaken's mouth, that one was something he had not expected. A long, brittle silence ensues. A cold knot forms in the base of his stomach. He feels as if a hand had enclosed around his throat, the threat of strangulation freezing him in his place. He closed the journal, bringing it tightly to his chest. If Kaken knows of Sensei, then he's in more danger than he ever expected. Kaken stops waiting for him to answer, taking his lack of response as an affirmation to his question. So you do know him. Tension bleeds out between them. Kuro refuses to back down. However, knowing was one thing, but involving Kaken would put him in danger. No, he realizes despondently, it could end up with the other dead, or worse. He takes a deep breath, exhaling through his nose. It isn't as if Kuro is blind to what happens with the League. His hands might not be as bloody, but they aren't too clean either. The young warper bites down on his bottom lip. He wishes he could be more direct if it weren't for something holding him back. Like a lump in his throat, no matter how much he tries to dislodge it, he couldn't tell Kaken everything. His brows draw sharply together in frustration. Is there no other way to get around without endangering Kaken? Would it be possible to convey things indirectly? He's broken out of his thoughts by a short huff, followed by, so you're just going to stay silent then? Is that it? Kuro sighs, the sting of guilt sinking into his gut. Kaken. A finger pushes up against his sternum. No, I rescued your ass. I deserve some damn answers. Boys, Native begins to say. He doesn't have time to finish as their conversation is interrupted. An elderly man appears out of nowhere, bouncing off every surface imaginable until rushing toward the group. Kuro barely has time to dodge the person's abrupt landing, wincing all the while as his body reminds him of his injuries. I thought I heard a certain little asshole. The stranger speaks brazenly. It takes Kuro a moment to realize the older man is a pro hero. Who is that? Ida inquires, blinking and squinting at the newcomer as if to discern whether he was real or imaginary. Ancient pro, who thinks he's hot shit. Hey, what the hell, old man? Kaken yells, holding his bruised cheek. Bakugu, why the hell are you here and not helping the civilians? The older man demands. Fuck off, Gran Torino. I had some shit. Kuro tilts his head to the side. Something about the elderly hero reminds him of Kaken, strangely enough. Gran Torino shifts his gaze toward Kuro, making the boy freeze in place. He gestures his head at him. That your shit? Damn straight. Kaken retorts to Kuro's confusion. Since when did he become someone's shit? Should he be offended? While the teen was busy figuring out the meaning of his childhood friend's words, Kakin asks, "What are you doing here?" Gran Torino's eyes draw to Stain. He lifts both brows, clearly not expecting them to have one of Japan's most notorious murderers tied up like a hog for slaughter. "I got called to this street a few minutes ago," he responds, neck turning as more footsteps approach them, and the cavalry arrives. His heart hammers in his chest as a group of heroes descends upon them. All the new voices push him into the background. Too many people. He blinks, the memory of crowds and horrified faces flashing across his eyes. Kuro shudders. He can't do this. Not now. If Sensei finds out he's with the heroes that he remembers, it wouldn't bode well for anyone. Not his mother, not Kakin, not anyone. Kuro clenches his teeth as he thinks of his teacher. If he leaves now, Kurogiri would be blamed. His gaze flickers to the rooftops. Though he doesn't see either Shigaraki or Kurogiri, there is no doubt they will be drawn to the scene soon, if they haven't already. The teen hates how the guilt festers inside him. Walking back slowly, he tries to sneak away. Blonde hair and red eyes stand in his way, however. "Where are you sneaking off to? Didn't I say I was going to get you home?" Kuro looks despondently at his shoes. Kakin's persistence to get him home feels strange to the boy. Why did he care so much? Was he trying to make amends for something? He didn't have to. Izuku did what he did because Kakin looked like he needed saving. Of all the regrets he has, that instance was not one of them. He doesn't get a chance to finish as a shadow swoops over them. Before Kuro can blink, Kakin is gone. It doesn't take him long to figure out how. "Look, one of the flying villains got a hold of the blonde kid." One of the heroes yells. His pen and journal clatter to the ground. He's running down the street after the ascending Nomu, ignoring the pain of his injuries as he tries to catch up to no avail. Kakin curses and struggles in the monster's grip, hands sparking but too injured to do much damage against the creature. Someone get him. He's too far. Gran Torino tries to make a mad dash, but the effort is futile. The Nomu is flying higher and higher. Soon it will be unreachable. Emotion swells in his chest. It is up to him now. Kuro doesn't have time to determine the coordinates. Grasping onto the last ounce of strength left, he pulls. Pain laces up his arm like fire, but he holds onto the feeling inside himself, directing it toward Nomu. The portal opens as quickly as it closes, a rare feat for a novice warper like himself. Kakin makes it through as well most of the Nomu. Its wings freefall meters away as the monster screeches in pain on top of him and Kakin. Molten fire flows through his veins. His eyes tear up from the intensity of the pain. Kuro collapses, body convulsing as the agony persists. Too much, he thinks between gasps. He used too much. His breath hitches as the arm he used flickers in and out of existence. He can't feel his fingers. He can't feel anything. Tears gather in his eyes as he struggles to keep his limb from disappearing altogether. Kakin pushes back, trying to create an opening, but the Nomu simply digs its talons into his waist, earning the teen a strangled grunt. Even though the other boy looks furious, Kuro can detect a hint of fear behind those eyes. It soon infects him too. The young warper frantically struggles beneath the Nomu's weight. Its claws dig into his neck while it scrambles about. He chokes while trying to free his throat. He screams as a blade runs through the Nomu's head, striking the ground next to his own. He doesn't register the cascade of voices advancing on them, or any of Kakin's curses. No, his attention is fully focused on the owner of the blade. The hero killer kicks the creature off the teens, bringing the long knife to lick the flat side. He's not focused on them though. Kuro follows the other's line of sight, eyes nearly bulging out of his head when he spots the number 2 hero across the street. Endeavor, Stain drawls. The hero takes a step forward, one hand already gathering flames. Hero killer. Wait, another hero exclaims. He's got 2 hostages. That stops the hero in his place, if only for a moment. That time is all Stain needs, however. Never let it be said that the hero killer went out quietly. Stain stands tall and imposing despite his injuries. Kuro shivers beneath the vigilante's unfocused gaze as its force casts over the heroes like a suffocating blanket. There is insanity there, so vast and deep he's uncertain if there's a bottom. The sight of Endeavor seems to rile him up, lips stretching out into a feral grin. Everyone in the vicinity stops what they're doing. The weight of the hero killer's presence as terrifying as his first meeting with Sensei. Kuro's good hand shifts to his pocket. Shigaraki and Kurogiri are probably watching now, waiting to see his next move. His hand tightens around the handle as he draws it out. Stain doesn't notice, too busy being the center of the crowd's attention. He seems almost drunk from the hero's weariness, raising his blade to endeavor as he shouts, "You fake hero. All of you. This damn society." The air falls still as his voice grows louder. You hypocrites call yourselves heroes when the one who acts first is what you people call a villain. The warper nearly drops the knife when Stain gestures his blade to himself and Kuro, as if they were suddenly together. Did Stain not remember him from the wine bottle incident? The battle they had not even an hour ago? Stain doesn't take Kuro's confusion into account, however, continuing his monologue. Today's heroes are nothing more than celebrities in fancy costumes, holding up this weak and rotten world we live in. The title has lost its true meaning. No more. There's a shift in his tone that curdles Kuro's blood and his working hand. He readies himself as the hero killer reaches the crescendo of his speech. I will reclaim that word. I will cover these streets in your blood. Come now. Try and stop me, you hypocrites. Only one man in this world can kill me, and that is the symbol of peace. No one else is worthy. No. His words are cut mid-sentence, the silence punctuated by the blade in the hero killer's side. Kuro swallows back the sickness in his gut. When the hero killer doesn't move or attack him, he cautiously looks upwards. Milky white eyes greet him. His heart pounds louder. He jolts when he feels a hand on his shoulder, pulling him back. Those eyes would no doubt haunt him. What the hell, Izuku? Kaken's grip tightens. Though his voice is angry, his face is another story, pale and confused at his actions. His stomach clenches at the sight. Anxiety spurts through him, his hand slipping from the knife. He can feel the stares of the heroes. Using the last of his energy, he pulls out of Kaken's hold to get to his feet. Quick-moving shadows encroach upon the dim backstreet. The air around them blurs and shifts, a warning of what's to come. He bites down on his inner cheek. What in the world is that? Someone from the crowd of heroes yells. Where is all this fog coming from? He looks down at his injured arm. It seems faded somehow, his eyes still able to see through the other side. A consequence of overusing his quirk. He closes his eyes as he takes another step away. Though he cannot see his teacher, he knows he is there. His time with Kaken and the others is up. Don't you dare, Kaken warns, trying to get to his feet. The dark fog grows thicker, encircling the young warper. A warp gate takes shape behind him, the air of the other side tickling the back of his neck. Kuro turns towards it, though not without sending one last apologetic look past his shoulder. Kaken, get back here, damn it. There's so much he wants to say, so much he wants to do. But he can't. Not until he learns more about the League and their goals. Not until he can be sure Kaken and his mom will be safe. He only hopes he is still himself at the end of it all. Well. Looks like somebody lost to the mid-boss. Shigaraki steps through Kurogiri's warp as the brat collapses to the bar floor. Geez, they just cleaned this place too. He scratches at the base of his neck, irritation riding his thin brows. Kurogiri is the first to his dumbass mini-me, checking his body for injuries like some doting parent. It made Shigaraki want to gag. So dramatic. We still learned valuable information about the heroes, Kurogiri adds. Shigaraki hates it when Kurogiri is right. The bullet hole wounds in his chest ache in tandem with the persistent itch of his skin. His fingers claw at his raw neck as he mentally cycles through the night's events. Stain was out of the league. Not that he was really in it in the first place. Shigaraki only allowed him in on Kurogiri and Sensei's recommendation. Something about publicity? His focus switches to their most injured member, lips forming a straight line. He didn't see the entire thing, but he saw enough. Looks like this RPG just added a new layer of complexity. Good thing he's well-versed in games, he thinks, dry lips pulling into a dark smile. Legs cracking as he bends, he settles into a squat next to their youngest member. Still alive? Guess you're not completely useless, just mostly useless. Shigaraki, Kurogiri says as if trying to rein him in. Your little knife trick didn't work, he continues over the older warper. Stain's alive and in custody. What rotten luck. Kurogiri persists. He has severe quirk exhaustion and several injuries in need of medical care. Please allow me to take him to the doctor. No, he states firmly, the word echoing across the small bar. He needs to learn the pain of failure. How's he going to become a good little party member otherwise? Kurogiri pauses, the wisps of his body growing more pronounced. Bowing his head, he respectfully asks, may I at least tend to his worst injuries? Do what you want, Shigaraki yawns. Understood. I will be right back, the warper responds, disappearing into mist soon after. Just as Shigaraki planned, he peers down at the other boy. Though his eyes are closed, the soft rise and fall of his chest tell the villain he's still awake. He places his palm on the other's chest, following it with a pinky, a ringer finger, the middle, the pointer, and finally, he stops just short, thumb resting but a few centimeters away. Did you really think you can fool me? I know you're awake. Toxic Green stares up at him, wide and frantic. He hates them. Kurogiri's eyes are narrow and controlled, promising pain to those who infringe upon Sensei or Shigaraki's plans. A true subordinate in every sense of the word. Kuro, on the other hand, can't seem to stop expressing himself through them. Like right now. He's petrified. Shigaraki's smile stretched from ear to ear, splitting his dry skin until it bleeds. As much as he hates the boy, he derives great amusement from how Kuro squirms. Who was that blonde kid? He asks. Beneath Shigaraki's hand, a heart struggles to escape its cage. His eyes form two smiling crescents, deriving great amusement from the other boy's fear. So he wasn't wrong. The brats do know each other. You going soft on us? Playing around for the other side. The other slowly shakes his head. Good. You know what they do to people like us, right? He motions his thumb horizontally across his neck. And I know you know what we do with traitors. The frantic nod makes Shigaraki chuckle. Kuro is easy to manipulate in comparison to Sensei's other minions. Still, something about the incident makes Shigaraki curious. That brat knows Kuro, or maybe he knew Kuro from before. Perhaps he should investigate this little matter on his own? Ugh, that would take work though. He knew little about Nomus, and even less about their previous lives before the doctor got to them. He hummed. A little bit of sleuthing could prove useful. Part of him is tempted to let his thumb fall, to see what would happen to the kid. Would he break apart into ashes or dissipate into smoke? If Shigaraki took off his arm, would it grow back? What are you doing, Shigaraki? Kurogiri stands not a meter away, looking down at him with an unreadable expression. He lifts his hand off casually, readjusting father. Gotta make sure he's breathing still. Can't have our little rookie dying anytime soon. He stretches out his legs, rolling on the back of his heels as he rises to his full height. I suggest talking to Sensei about our next move. Right, he says airily. The game's not over. We'll need to level up a bit before we can finish off those so-called heroes. He leaves without another word to the two, mind already made up. Shigaraki might have lost the last two battles, but the war against heroes still wages on. Stain was merely a stepping stone for their plans. Soon they would strike at the heart of hero society, once and for all. He just has to have patience. He tugs at the fort in his bandaged arm. The hurricane of emotion he experienced earlier seems to have drained most of his energy. He barely even registers Paw Patrol and his officers coming into the room, his mind still reeling from Izuku's departure. Why didn't he stay? Did he think Bakugo couldn't protect him? His jaw tightens. Of course not. Why would he? Weak. So fucking weak. And now Izuku was back with those fuckers. Despite the proof in his hands, Bakugo couldn't help feeling more useless than ever. His fingers dig into the binding of the notebook the nerd left behind. The little Campos journal would be gone by morning, given to All Might for their ongoing investigation, a fact that leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. He stares up at the white ceiling of the hospital room. All Might would have defeated Stain and brought Izuku home. He wouldn't have had to rely on others for help. It aches, this constant battery of attacks against the sandcastle of a vision he's built up of himself. Izuku's first death obliterated it, made him question who he was, what he'd been, what he'll be. Every time he tries to build up that fucking sandcastle, someone comes in and steps on it. But maybe this is what he deserves. Bakugu, did you hear what Todoroki just asked? Bakugu, what? He grinds out. Just his luck, he gets to spend the night with glasses and icy hot. Probably the universe's punishment for him. How do you know Midoriya? Todoroki inquires, expressionless as ever. Why did he return to the league? He turns his head, arms crossing. I ain't telling you fucks anything. It's none of your business. This sets glasses off. The other boy sits up straighter in his bed, chopping the air with his good hand. We have a right to know, as your classmates. No, he can't tell us. Todoroki interrupts. His eyes sharpen, hands coming together to form a steeple. Bakugu is sworn to secrecy. This earns an eye roll from the boy in question. He decides to switch sides, hoping to get at least some sleep in this prison. He already tried leaving earlier, but the nurses and glasses dragged him back. What? How come? I heard him speaking to All Might that Midoriya was kidnapped by the League of Villains at the sports festival, Todoroki remarks. Kidnapped? How terrible. Then why did he return to them? Bakugu, eat shit and die, he grumbles. Grabbing a pillow, he presses it to the side of his face, hoping to deafen their conversation. Sadly, those two's voices rang loud and clear in the small room. What he means to say is he can't tell you, Todoroki replies. Bakugu scoffs. You're not my translator, icy hot. I've been studying Bakugu for several days now. After speaking with Kirishima, I believe I'm starting to understand his language. Icy hot says with confidence, stunning Bakugu. What the fuck is this kid on? Please, shut up. But no, Daddy Issues wants to die tonight, because he continues with his stupidity, saying, Bakugu cannot reveal what he knows because it would put others in danger. Their class president rubs his chin. Is that true? I'm going to sleep. Anything to escape this nightmare. What are Bakugu and Midoriya hiding? Glasses says. Icy Hot doesn't even wait a beat to answer. I theorize it has to do with his father. Bakugu's. No, Midoriya's. Bakugu runs a hand down his face, eyes rolling as far as they could go. He never expected Icy Hot to be into conspiracies, but, then again, he never thought glasses would be homicidal either. You learn new things every day, even when you don't want to. After a long groan, he says in a louder voice, Go the fuck to sleep. Both boys ignore him. Do you remember the villain who separated all of us at the USJ? Ida gasps. No, it can't be. He doesn't even have to look to feel Todoroki's smirk. But it is. Oh, fuck this. Bakugu grabs his pillow and swings, smacking the conspiracy nut in the face. While he's satisfied by the boy's stunned expression, it doesn't last long as the other brings out his own pillow, swinging it around before launching it back towards him. Consequences be damned. As the room soon fills with a flurry of pillow feathers, Bakugu finds his resolve once more. Izuku isn't going to come back on his own. He was in too deep with the villains. Question is, how is Bakugu going to drag him out of there without getting them killed?